And all of this brainstorming is around the use of the facilities here at SVCA and the priorities of use for those facilities. What we want to achieve in order to serve the community and what's most important around all the things that we identify that are good for the community and that we'd like to achieve. Okay, so I'll try to keep the activities varied so we can keep everyone engaged. But I also ask you to try and focus as best you can and not get distracted so that we can move through the ambitious agenda that has been set for today. We will take regular breaks so that you can refuel, use the restroom, and just come back from that little break and have your renewed focus. If at any time you need something, raise your hand. There's a restroom in the back, and there are additional restrooms downstairs. If you take that stair down, you'll get to more restrooms. Before we dive in, are there any questions? Yeah. Yes, Rick.
So, long-range planning in this context is only focused on our facilities. We're not looking at the total organization. Is that right?
Services are included. We've divided up the day to get input based on specific areas and assets. As those assets impact services, we can discuss the services, and it's really the activities that go on inside the assets that allows us to prioritize them and to understand how the assets need to be best managed. And I'm saying assets because it's not just buildings, right? It's roads, it's trails, it's basketball hoops. It's, it's the whole 9 yards, all the things that we own that people use in order to enjoy the facilities that we have.
The first part too is like, when you're putting your goals together that you would have for the different strategic priorities, like that's not, you don't have to focus on just like the asset. That's like the things you would like to see, the board, staff, the community all like kind of focus on in those to, help us, enhance those specific priorities that we have and, that type of thing. The back half of the session's more focused on specific assets that we have and those things, but yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to kick off by introducing ourselves to everyone at the table and at the other table. So I'm Joanne Jensen. I'm the general manager. I've been here for 19 months or so. Not that I'm counting. That's actually not 19. Well, it seems like a very long time, but anyway, I'm in my second year here and appreciate the opportunity to lead today's session.
Hi, I'm Lori Robinson, and I am a board director holding the office of treasurer. Oh, I was elected this past November.
But how long have you been in the community?
Oh, I've been in the community since 2004.
Yeah, my name is Rick Asai. I'm a new board member and a relative newcomer, actual newcomer to the community May last year.
I'm Barbara Wally. I moved here February 2021, and I am running for an open board position.
And a member of Long Range Plan.
Well, obviously, I'm on this committee.
Michael now. I am also a community planner. I've been a planner for 45 years. I am a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. This is what I do.
Yay.
If at any time, Michael, you'd like to take over facilitation.
My name is Adam Tellis. I am a 7-year resident in Sudden Valley. I've been a member of the previous long-range planning committees at Parks and Trails as well. I work in the restoration and design industry, doing beach restoration work and river restoration. And I have a great interest in just what our community can do. I'm also a member of the long-range planning committee.
I'm AJ Tischletter. I'm the chair of the Long Range Planning Committee. I've been on the board. This is my 5th year now. And yeah, I'm a civil engineer and a project manager. So I do capital design and construction of road projects for the county.
Hey, I'm Sonia Vold. This is my 3rd year on the board. I'm also on Long Range Planning, and I was a member of the Long Range Planning Committee when the strategic planning team working with Long Range Planning, the board and also our key staff created the strategic priorities and the current mission and vision statement that we're working off of, and that was in 2021. My background is financial services. I ran a global financial services corporation for over 20 years, and now I'm retired.
I'm Nancy Alunak. I've lived here since 2006, and I'm a retired geologist. Oh, and long-range planning.
I'm Daniel Rodriguez. I'm a ACC chair. I moved to Sudden Valley 3 years ago from Washington, D.C., and I am a visual designer.
I'm Tammy Vandepolder. I'm a 26-year resident of Sudden Valley. This is my 3rd year on the board of directors. I'm currently the vice president, and my husband and I own a vehicle wholesale and import-export company.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, I warned you that there would be action, physical action in this. Thank you for your timely return. We're now going to get into the meat of the day. We're going to start by discussing strategic priorities. If you have your book with you, you can find these in on pages 1 and 2 right at the beginning.
Oh, I don't have one.
After the maps,
Where did you get that?
it says our strategic priorities.
Oh, you know what? I think I have 2 copies of here. Right here. You have the next one.
Is this? This is news.
No, here. Oh. It's right here. It's like the 3rd page. You're almost there. Oh, no.
Where is it? Oh.
Find it? Everybody find it? Okay. Now, we're going to dive into the strategic priorities, which are on page 1. But before we do that, I'd like to review our purpose. Okay, because the priorities derive directly from the purpose. And the purpose of the association is stated in its Articles of Incorporation. Article 3 in the Articles of Incorporation says, the purposes for which this corporation is organized are as follows: to acquire and hold title and trust to the common areas within the platted area of the Sudden Valley development for the benefit of all lot owners and condominium owners. So the association is the title holder, because you can't have 3,129 people listed on a deed. The second purpose is to establish and collect assessments against each member of the corporation to provide for maintenance and operation of all the common areas and facilities transferred to it within the Sudden Valley development for the mutual benefit of all members. To provide the funds required to maintain and control all roads, parks, reserve areas, community beach areas, and recreational areas. To provide for architectural and building controls within the limitations of the restrictive covenants of the Plats of Sudden Valley, and to provide and pay all taxes and assessments. To provide and pay for a security guard and patrol at all times on said property. And number 3, to engage in social and community activities, including the development, construction, maintenance, and operation of any other community facilities within the area of Sudden Valley, subject to applicable provisions of these articles and bylaws of the corporation. So we hold title, we collect dues, we maintain common areas, we exercise architectural control, we provide security, and we promote social and community engagement. That's the mandate of the association. On the left side, we have strategic priorities. And our exercise this morning, which derives directly from the pre-work, which was sent out to everyone, is to list the goals that we have under each of the strategic priorities, okay? And I'll be the scribe this activity. We will take each strategic priority by itself, and you guys can share from your pre-work the goals that you have or the things that you'd like to do in service of achieving each strategic priority. Does that make sense? Awesome. So the first strategic priority, and we'll read the definition before we start, because some of them overlap or blend together. So the first one we'll tackle today is sustainability. And the vision for that priority is we are a sustainable community managing our human, natural, and financial capital to meet current needs while ensuring that adequate resources are available for future generations. We conduct our business in a socially and fiscally responsible manner. We consider the true costs of our decisions and actions. Okay?
Oh, all right, I don't know if that, I don't know if that's better, but it's.
Maybe we're gonna.
Probably there. Have you written down anything?
Who's first up? Nancy.
Stable dues. It comes under fiscal responsibility.
Stable dues.
Planning is important to me and a lot of other people.
Okay. And I imagine that you mean that that's the dues stay stable, not that we pay dues in order to have a stable. That was supposed to be funny. We'll have more of those jokes as we go through today.
Stable doesn't mean
Took me a
flat.
second.
It means predictable.
And I'm going to write down predictable
And that-
because I think that's an important modifier here.
Yeah.
Under sustainability, does anyone else have an entry? Sonia?
Yeah, so assess all facilities to ensure we're budgeting and planning for long-term maintenance and repair.
Okay, can you summarize that? Assess all facilities.
Assess all facilities, well, the full sentence I wrote was assess all facilities to ensure we're budgeting and planning for long-term maintenance and repair and potential replacement where needed. And then
Okay.
the other is I said,
Okay, wait, let's get this one. We're assessing the facilities to determine their need for maintenance or replacement.
right, but well, here, I'll finish my one paragraph. I'm sorry, and then maybe we can figure out how to summarize it. But I put during this process, ensure that we continually striving to improve existing facilities while seeking opportunities for their future development.
Okay, so there's about 6 bullet points in there.
No, that's why. Okay,
So
so
we're
just
assessing the
assess all
facilities to determine
planning. How about that?
condition,
And
because that's a support of planning,
yes.
in support of planning.
Yes.
And there was another one in there, and that was to,
It'll fall in there. The other one just had to do with part of how you assess them.
but you said flexibility.
For flexibility,
How about build in flexibility to assets?
to accommodate future trends or needs.
Under sustainability, does anyone else have anything to add?
Can I go twice?
Of course.
This is a slogan. No gate left behind.
Okay, is that sustainability or is that
Because you have to have.
diversity and inclusiveness?
Can that be more collaboration?
No, it's sustainable because this place cannot exist unless it has the
Can't see your-
size.
So n-
You
Does
need a
everyone
cer-
feel, no gate left behind? Does that feel good here?
Rick had a point too.
Yeah, well, I think along those lines, not to speak for you, but just the sense of community that everybody feels connected and involved and a part of the greater community. So I
Mhm.
think that's another way of saying, I think, what you said. I also think,
Does that fit under sustainability or diversity and inclusiveness?
Diversity, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Inclusive.
I'm just asking, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of overlap, obviously, between these, so I think it's a good point to keep in mind no matter what, like, as those get developed, that there's a sense of community associated with all of the decisions, right? So that's fair.
Okay.
I
So
think,
maintain a sense of community. What else? Rick, were you going to expand?
well, on the second one, in view of some of the capital improvements that we have made at the board level, having an accurate 30-year reserve study. In other words, it seems like a couple of these, the last couple of meetings, had a certain amount of money set aside, for example, the tennis courts, and it was like off by $100,000. So I know it's problematic. There's been a huge change and shift post-COVID in terms of costs of wages, supply materials, and just general inflation. And so I think we have to pay particular attention to keep that reserve study up to date. And it's an ongoing problem, I understand, but I think it's fundamental to how we look ahead and plan for the future.
Right, if you only have 5,000 put away and it costs you 10,000, trouble. I think that ties very well to sustainability because it's about making sure we can pay in the future. Michael?
Does safety fall under sustainability?
Is what?
Safety will go under quality of life.
Longevity of our critical infrastructure. It's kind of in there, but when you have roads, stormwater system, culverts and stuff, that's in a big storm can fail and cause the machine access issue, which is planning for it as well. We're working in some of the construction business. We do cost estimates for plans in 2020, and all this development like 6% a year at least to the cost. Escalation of the construction costs.
Yeah.
Nothing gets cheaper. Nothing fixes itself without being fixed.
Right. So basically to ensure we have a future and that's what sustainability means, right? We need to consider the longevity of critical infrastructure. I captured that.
And probably, I think the other thing you're saying is that we need our experts, like our road and stormwater experts that we're utilizing to input on these, the budget planning process probably annually to reevaluate their numbers that they're giving us.
So we need expert input. And in order to achieve an accurate reserve study. AJ?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of, mine were, yeah, prioritizing taking care of the assets that we do have, over, trying to create new plans and things like that. And then, yeah, implementing pavement preservation program with the new 10-year capital road plan that we have. I think that's really important. We can't let our pavement that we have continue to deteriorate, so we have to implement that plan.
Is that expressed by maintaining the longevity of our critical infrastructure, or do you want to call it out?
I'd put it, at least, I'd mark it on there because it's,
AJ, would you like to call it out specifically, or do you feel like it's represented already?
That's fine.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else?
And then I just had continued efforts in the culverts and ditches and swales. We've spent a lot of effort
So
to get
roads
that back.
is culverts, ditches and swales, which is the components of the drainage system, right? And I think it's super important to remember that without that critical infrastructure, everything else comes crashing down. I mean, we could have a vibrant tennis club and it wouldn't matter one whit when people couldn't get to their homes because a culvert had collapsed. Right? Okay. So we've made a couple of statements about sustainability. Do you guys feel like we've covered this?
I have one to add.
Okay, Barbara?
It's kind of a broad term, but financial oversight, better financial oversight, as in,
Develop your point, develop.
like I know we have a financial team and all that, but I kind of wonder if we need outside representation on that every so often, like oversight,
To achieve,
to make sure everything is spent properly, to make sure everything is assessed properly with the accurate reserve studies and everything else. Like finance is a big thing, I think. And I could be wrong with everything. I don't know how everything here works yet. I'm learning. So new, I will throw that out, but I feel like, it's always good to have an extra set of eyes sometimes.
additional financial oversight, other thoughts? What about our natural resources?
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I wrote down was just kind of as an over assessing concept is our natural environment and, it's maintaining the health of our greenscape, if you will.
Doesn't that go under natural beauty?
Well, that's what I was going to say. To complete my comment was that there is a huge overlap with natural beauty, but beauty is not necessarily tied to sustainability, I think. And especially with Firewise and flooding potential, not so much, although there's pretty wet spots down on the marina. But especially in view of fire, I think in the future, having Firewise and fire mitigation plans and looking at the long-term health of our green spaces.
So I think that we can start to see that strategic priorities blur together as you dive into them, and several activities might appear in or contribute towards several strategic priorities. Making fiscally responsible decisions about managing our forests, okay, leads to the preservation of natural beauty, but also fiscal responsibility, right? And if we are fiscally responsible, we'll have more money to maintain critical infrastructure, which is about sustainability. So there's a lot of motion, I think, between each of these different priorities. Anything else for sustainability?
So I was just going to expand on that. So thanks for saying that and explaining that. And one of the things, like we kind of really tried to use like a checklist so that we don't, the goal is that we are hitting at least one of these strategic priorities when we're spending money, right? When we make a financial decision for the association and for its future, that because these are the goals that were identified and that will get us to the vision and that will keep us aligned with the purpose of the association. And so by at a minimum checking off one of these boxes, we know that we're kind of staying along with that plan. So that's the goal of that. But yeah, there's definitely overlap. And the other thing I think Joanne was going to mention was that if you look on this page, each of them actually contain their own vision as well. That's the outcome that we're kind of seeking under each of those strategic priorities. And then these goals will get us to that outcome. But yeah, I'm just agreeing with, yeah, there's a lot of overlap and it's real important that we consider each of them every time that we make decisions.
And I think we get into that when, like as an example, if we need to replace an asset or to spend a great deal of money to maintain that asset, you not only have to look at the contribution of that particular asset that you're maintaining and considering the expense on behalf of, but you've also got to consider the negative of that, which is what am I not spending money on elsewhere because I've chosen to concentrate my spend on this one thing? Because it's not just one thing, right? Every time you say yes, you also say no. And that's why if your pancake, Team Pancake, has totally left behind waffles, okay? And when, they later in life meet a handsome man from the South and he's sad because there's no chicken and waffles, they're gonna have to deal with that concept in the future. And it's all because of them, right? So if you choose to spend money on building A, it may mean that building B doesn't get what it needs and it falls down, right? And so that's obvious, but it bears repeating because it's easy to get stuck on, as we saw, it's easy to get stuck on a thing you love and not think about the consequences of the decision. I think we've explored sustainability. I am going to paste it on the wall so that we can save it and vote on it later. But Daniel, could you read the next strategic priority so people can think about that while I do my pasting?
Under collaboration? Collaboration, we are a collaborative community and our members are its heart and soul. We continually strive to build collaboration and ethical decision-making into our budgeting and planning process. We are a compassionate community where the well-being of everyone is a top priority and all people and living things are treated with respect.
Oh, go ahead.
Michael?
Before we get into more detail on this subject, I have to say the collaboration has to begin with Whatcom County. And the reason for that is that the county is obligated under the Growth Management Act to update its comprehensive plan on a regular basis. They have just initiated that process this year, and they have until the end of next year to complete it. And Sudden Valley needs to be part of the county's process. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And one of the reasons is that the county designates the status of Sudden Valley. And we need to be part of that discussion because many, many years ago, Sudden Valley was designated as an urban growth area. And if you look at the definition of an urban growth area, we are one. And they took away that designation. And what that means right now is that we shouldn't be growing at all. It means literally under the Growth Management Act that every time the county issues a building permit for any home in Sudden Valley where a sewer line is extended, they're violating the Growth Management Act. So how many people here have had new homes built within the last 15 years? Okay, so that it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, does anyone know in terms of population, what proportion of the county's population is here in Sudden Valley? I know we're about 8,000 and the overall.
The
like,
overall is like 250,000 in the county.
Yeah. So we're 8,000 out of 250,000. So what's that, 3%?
So I do know it's accurate to say that if we were a city, initially it was saying if we were a city, we would be the 4th largest city. I think now we would be the 5th largest because of Birch Bay and everything. So.
And then there's also the concept of what proportion of the tax base for Whatcom County is contributed by Sudden Valley, and do we get that much back in services? So those are all questions I think that are valid and well articulated. Thank you.
And just to follow up, designation as an urban growth area does not require us to incorporate as a city.
It's an area. Right, awesome. Okay, so we're not just an island. We need to be aware of the other entities that exist in our ecosystem. I think that's really a smart observation. Nancy, did you have something?
Yeah, for collaboration, advisory votes.
Nancy, use your microphone.
For collaboration, we did try out with advisory votes. A marina advisory vote, an ice barn advisory vote, and a survey a couple years ago that the number one recreation choice was trail conductivity, connectivity.
Yeah,
So,
we hope the trails aren't conductive.
yeah.
Electricity anyway, they could conduct people all day long. Awesome. Yeah, so getting input, these are ways we can get input from the community in a representative way. Because we get input every single day. Someone is, coming by my office or the Welcome Center in general to share their opinion, I can guarantee it. But that's one person's opinion and we don't know how representative it is of it.
Yeah, that overlaps with civic engagement as
Yeah,
well.
for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
But one of the words that stands out to me from what Daniel read is respect. Respect. And I'm not going to sing the song. Thank God for you all. But there is one. I mean, and it's important. And in order to get to collaboration, you have to demonstrate respect. And one of the ways you demonstrate respect, I feel, is to ask for people's opinions and thoughts about things. So with this, I totally get that.
And respect has to be mutual.
Absolutely. Yes, Adam.
So, three of the principles that, I've worked at really amazing companies, and they have a whole, culture group that needs to be back in here, basically preserve our bias culture grows. And they came up with three principles this past year, and the taxon what you were saying, Joanne, that is, trust, respect, and passion. And that is the feel of the company. It's like, we trust each other, we respect each other, and we're all very passionate about it. And I think that's kind of a good, good way to approach it. One of the other things I was thinking, and really down here too, was just as far as collaboration, looking for opportunities that benefit Sudden Valley and improve the local view of Sudden Valley, kind of challenges we have, but not being the city, being, essentially an urban growth area. We are somewhat limited because we are not a government entity. We don't get cash write-offs. We get some of the assistance that a city would get. So programs like Firewise program really are able to work with groups to provide better opportunities within that the community. They were getting Firewise money from I think something actually has to every year.
So basically seek out like partnerships with other organizations.
Yeah, so I've captured that as find opportunities to work with other entities to benefit the Sudden Valley Community Association.
Sorry, I can't read your, I apologize. I just couldn't read what you read.
Yeah, it's too skinny and it's too far, but we'll let you get up close and personal when we're voting. Lori, do you have any thoughts on collaboration? You've been kind of quiet over there.
Well, pretty much everything I have thought of has already been said, but I think it's important that the community, a part of collaboration is to support decisions that are made instead of tearing apart. Yeah, respect.
I think that's important because not doing that doesn't allow us to make progress because we make the same decision over and over again, which we've seen demonstrated in our records and we're experiencing right now. Any other thoughts? Time me.
Well, I had a couple. One was encouraging volunteers, which I know you're doing that program. That really gets a sense of community. And also just providing opportunities where members can gather and have activities. Because the more we spend time with our neighbor, the more we understand their viewpoint.
I had that as well, neighborhood bonding.
Sponsor activities to foster. Can I say bonding or should I say relationships? What would you prefer? Relationships?
You
Interact.
pick. What's your favorite? Bonding or,
I think that's fine.
yeah. I'm looking at the word relationships from your last, the last thing, and Daniel picked relationships, so, you know, so we should.
I knew it would come back. I was
You made
right.
that
I was
right.
the only one that was right.
Right. Anything else around collaboration, Michael?
Getting back to my original point, any plan that we develop here should, according to the Growth Management Act, be consistent with the county's countywide planning policies. So I would encourage everyone here to go to the county's website, go to their comprehensive plan, and read those countywide planning policies.
What policy? I can't quite understand you, Michael. What was the,
Growth Management
yeah,
Act.
no, what was the descriptor behind growth management that you just gave?
The Growth Management Act requires the county to put together countywide planning policies.
Right, I got that. I understand that.
And those policies govern planning efforts that occur within the county.
Right. Okay.
We're indicating planning effort here.
I understand that.
Yeah, and my understanding is that this set of materials, which is actually a treasure trove, if you take time to read through it, explains a lot of things and it stimulates thinking and it shows you the next step to take. So this is an excellent guide to the whole planning process that was put together. And wasn't it based on some of the growth management?
It was, that was our goal, was to, as much as we could, to mirror that Growth Management Act. And then that's what we'll be doing, is finalizing that comprehensive plan for Sudden Valley this year. And so that it'll more closely align with that and it'll help moving forward.
Nancy?
I'm going to take issue with the support decisions already made. Because sometimes bad decisions are made on bad information and people change their mind. I mean, we used to be a country that took slavery as, the way it went. That's an extreme example, but you have to be able to change your mind with new information or new situations.
So I personally agree with that. But I think one of the things you said is key to doing disagreement respectfully, and that is to bring forward new information.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
So you could probably do that like through policy or something where let's say the board has voted for something, we've approved funds or obligated funds. There should be it should be part of the planning process that it doesn't, there has to be a process for removing it off of the plan. So yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so there are ways to handle that. I think what you don't want is sniping after.
Right.
Because that doesn't benefit anybody. But yeah, if there's new information that wasn't previously considered, if there's a new factor in the equation, and really those are two different things. Like all the information stays the same, but suddenly Whatcom County outlaws voting.
Right.
That's out of our control and it's happened, right? I mean, not,
The
in my imaginary scenario, I'm not saying that they have. But that would change our decision about how we invested in the marina, wouldn't it? Yeah, of course. So new information is super important.
Yeah, we do not have papal infallibility. No board does.
No, but I think we do have to respect that there is the rule of law and we have to follow it, and it's always, it's fluid, it's always changing, but there is an underlying rule of law.
Yes.
And that statement is a perfect example of why Sudden Valley should be more actively involved with the county.
Because the county makes decisions every day that would impact us. Or, every 10 years, they make a decision. Yeah.
So when I looked at this collaborative topic, I initially thought external to Sudden Valley, and yet much of it is internal. So I think it needs to be kind of subdivided, right? And along with what Michael's saying is, we need to be, one of mine was, collaborating with land use planning, Whatcom County, infrastructure, green spaces, watershed. I mean, there's a lot of things that are outside of our control that we have to comply with as an association within the county. There were two other things that came to mind. The library, that's a collaborative thing, I think, to some extent. And I'm a little fuzzy on exactly that particular relationship. But then the third one that I thought of was maybe trying to understand the history of the first residents of this land. We have a cursory statement that we reference at the beginning of our board meetings, but I'm not sure how much understanding and buy-in we have about that. But I think we need to have somewhat of a division in terms of this concept of collaboration, some external and some internal. And one of the things that comes to mind as a question, do we have a liaison with Whatcom County? Do we have somebody that attends or monitors those county meetings that we could be more mindful of proposed and actuated changes within the county that impact us directly and indirectly? Might be something to think about.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The only county organization we're on is Lake Whatcom. And the utility is also a member of that, Sudden Valley. But it has no power. It's really just a way to talk to people and get questions answered, focused on Lake Whatcom. And the current topic of great interest is the reassessment of the total maximum daily load phosphorus. I'm the representative to that. I was appointed by the board a couple years ago because, well, I've been going to those for 15 years, as long as I've lived here. And I did it because I'm a geologist and it follows my profession. But as far as influence with a county, that's not the place you're going to get it unless you are just interested in a technical aspect of modeling.
So is that
I am.
is that the county or just the watershed, or?
It's watershed at the county, the city is in it too.
But it's the watershed.
It's just the water.
Watershed, okay.
And what you're talking about, the Growth Management Act and all that, is the county as a whole.
Right.
And I don't know of any way to get influence with
Well, it's not so much influence, it's just monitoring. I'm guessing that most of those meetings are public.
Oh.
Well, let's,
so
instead of
let-
diving into any more into the weeds, I think noting it as something that's necessary allows us to put it on the to-do list if that's what we decide. Sonia, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I want to just add, engage employees in the process through training and onboarding where they are educated on the Sudden Valley organizational structure, how it's governed, and the importance of understanding the association's purpose and mission.
All right. Before we move on to natural
Yeah,
beauty, anything else? AJ?
So I thought, so staff gets feedback from the membership. I would like to see us figure out a way to incorporate that feedback into our planning process. We have our survey and stuff that like the board and stuff puts out. But figuring out a way with staff to create a feedback loop so that that feedback can get incorporated, and then related to collaborating with the county, we all pay into a stormwater utility. And so continue discussions should have, we should continue to invite the county representative to come out to a board meeting and discuss additional ways to continue to use that stormwater utility funds in Sudden Valley. That is one mechanism we have to get some tax dollars into Sudden Valley, and they've committed to doing that with us.
Talking about Lake Wacom Water and Sewer?
No, the county,
The stormwater utility.
Stormwater Division and Whatcom County Public Works.
We pay
Got it.
significant amount of money into that.
It'd be great to see there's something they could do to help us with some of our bigger projects, if they can provide any support and funds.
Those are the funds that paid for the Marigold project last year.
No, it didn't. That's REAP money.
Oh, well, that was REAP money?
It's REAP money. None of that came out of the stormwater fund.
Yeah, I think it
Well,
was.
never
starting
mind.
Yeah, that's
Live and learn.
either way, that money's there. They've committed to spending money in Sudden Valley. We should continue to have those conversations at the board level with them and see if we can collaborate with our capital planning projects and see if there's room to, maybe they'll do some of the treatment, some stuff or something like
Right.
that. I know it has to be, their money has to be used for specific things, so.
Awesome. Anything else before we move on to natural beauty?
I had one thing, but then I forgot it. Hold on. Crap. I started writing, so
No worries. If it comes up later, Barbara, let's add it.
sorry.
Lori, could you read for us the description of natural beauty while I paste this up?
Certainly. Natural beauty. It is both our duty and in our self-interest to be strong guardians of the quality of Sudden Valley's built and natural environment. We are conscious of the human impacts of our community has on our surroundings. We also recognize the efforts our natural environment has on the lives of our residents and employees.
I can kick us off. Plus, I remembered my thought now. Really quickly. It was based on educating employees on governance. I think we also need to educate outside service people of our stuff. For example, real estate people. I was lied to in my listing, and it continues to happen. Real estate agents constantly advertise that Sudden Valley has private beaches. Do not. We have public beaches. And I have alerted multiple real estate agents and they still put it in their listings. So why aren't we oversighting that? Small little thing. It's misinformation. As far as natural beauty, definitely preserving as much natural and landscape and areas so we do not become overdeveloped. Yes.
I've got one, acknowledgement of our impact on generally the overall house. Nancy hit it with, I got the process of like a lot of it. Doesn't understand basically every rooftop, every non-forest surface is a contribution to phosphorus. Because normally we'll just go around and use forest, but when you create runoff, keep nutrients. And that is something that given footprint, given roofs, everything we are definitely very precarious position to
How many people move here because of and it's, I can tell you, to me, it's one of the unifying factors. But I think that when we think about how to foster collaboration and empower that.
We do face some challenges from point where our private beaches were made public beaches. And I'm not advocating that we go back to private beaches, but we've seen impacts in terms of neighborhood parking. You know, members from the large community will come just park from somebody's driveway. But also the impacts that, when we're talking about protecting the water, the greater number of people, we need to be more diligent in what we do to protect them.
Yeah, it's clear that density of use for our environment impacts its health and well-being. And to that end, this is not something that's top of mind for a lot of people, but I'd like to add ADUs. We need a well articulated policy and enforcement that has teeth. And along with ADUs, I'll add short-term rentals. We need a position on that because, and why do they go here, you say? Because it's about density. And density absolutely impacts the environment negatively. As it rises, the impacts increase, and it's not just the natural environment, it's also enjoyment of the environment. Because when you convert a single family house into 4 rental units, you now have 6 cars where there used to be 2. And that means people are parking on the roads, and even if they are behind the fog lines, that impacts, we have narrow roads and they're dark. And so it impacts our road safety, and it impacts our ability to clear the roads in the event of a snowstorm and other things. So anything that affects density is something that I feel is important to at least give us a foundation to operate and enforce the covenants that we already have in place. Sonia?
Yeah, develop a plan for community cohesiveness with consistent color schemes and branding of all SVCA facilities and signs. Because, I mean, a lot of our signs are rotting, and it's time to replace them. And then even what we're talking about with the barns, there needs to be a clear vision of, you know, that image. What are these colors? I know, I mean, it kind of blends in with the natural beauty, but what does the community see? Generally, you know, you can identify community facilities by the look of them, the color schemes, and like I said, the signage. But then again, our directional signs throughout the community we need to determine what are those supposed to be looking like in the future, so we don't have like random
Blue and
signs.
white, red and white, green and white,
Yeah, yeah. No.
cartoon, not, and whatever. We have a bunch of signs. My favorite ones are the ones that look like they're pseudo official signs. AJ?
All right, so I was I was kind of focusing on where, like, you know, our natural environment meeting our built environment. I think one of the main areas we see that is our roadways. Actually, our roadways all touch the natural environment, and so we've moved clean, green, firewise, and all of that stuff into the operations budget. So just a continued focus on that. and looking for ways to enhance that in any way possible or make it more efficient. And also, I think that I said this in another one with sustainability, but I think the culverts, ditches, and swales, keeping the ditches and culverts maintained. It, you know, when you drive down the road and it's nice and clear and stuff like that, it creates a much more welcoming environment that everyone sees on every day they come and go from their house. And then the other thing was, I guess, kind of ties into what Sonia was saying. We have a bunch of refurbishment and plans here in the rec corridor. So getting those buildings and improvements that we do, making sure they're aesthetically pleasing to our surrounding environment and they fit in, and we're not putting blue signs up all over our roads, you know, that's wayfinding, and that they like kind of blend in a little bit better and, you know, they look nice.
Yeah, the effectiveness of a sign diminishes as its color blends more. So
Yeah,
that is something.
But blue is it sticks out like a sore thumb. It
Well,
it looks like an address post is what it looks like out in the county.
there was probably a sale on blue paint at the sign people that week. Awesome. Got anything else? The natural environment? Jaime?
I was thinking of encourage work groups for upkeep of trails and parks, gardens.
Volunteer work groups?
Yeah.
With children, you know, they break them out into ages, but we also have a large senior group here. And like maybe we could potentially consider putting viewing areas. I know there's a lot of bird watchers and stuff, so it's just things to consider.
Awesome. Nancy?
Let's keep our wetlands and not bulldoze them.
Maintain wetlands?
Wetlands. Wetlands. Some people see a bunch of bushes in a low area and think, oh boy, let's fill it. That's from the 1960s. Those do have a strong natural attachment to Lake Whatcom, and it really helps water quality to have wetlands. That's why the county encourages them. So just because it's a little damp doesn't mean you fill it in.
Awesome.
Clean water is a perfect through think of it as big filter. Cleaning out toxic heavy metals, but utilizing all the nutrients that. Yeah, but well, break dust, everything that runs off the roads. And one other thing that I thought too is that kind of tacking on to maybe an aesthetic thing and maybe a little bit of collaboration. But yeah, we have I would say very large, especially with COVID, the amount of delivery service. I mean, we have propane, we have trash, we have delivery that impact our neighborhoods, I think, quite a bit. And one of the things I noticed is a really big increase of just obvious delivery trucks that are pulled out to the edge of the road, stuff, making a very large impact on areas that maybe Hobby Express when they I mean, this the tire tracks through that generally doesn't get placed or fixed. But I don't know, it's like some collaborations on forming these roads. Just throw your hazards on off the road as opposed to pulling up next to my driveway, creating a hole and have to
Yeah, that's,
And it really does make, you know, you notice it water.
yeah, one set of tracks isn't a huge deal, but when you consider the hundreds that are formed by their constant motion, like, yeah, it becomes a big deal.
Yeah, there's also potential too, because the way they put it, obviously, the cooler that goes in my driveway, at one point was driven over the proper trash truck or something. There's impacts that the service have. So, held accountable for, or knowledgeable.
Yeah.
They're just doing their job.
We've had a series of resident complaints in that area, especially from neighborhoods where building is going on. Because the contractors to create efficiencies will often schedule deliveries with enormous trucks and that are very heavy because they have equipment on top to move the building equipment out on pallets, which means they don't have to have a driver or an offloading team, right? So it's very efficient for the builder, but it's very injurious not only to the roads, but they do pull over driveways and they use other people's property to make turns and such. And we've had, as I said, a series of complaints, and it follows where the builders are active. So if nobody minds, I think I'll put, well, delivery traffic covers it because the builders are getting deliveries. So awesome point. Any other thoughts before we move on? We got a lot more of these to go. So keep your energy up.
I just wanted to add to architectural cohesiveness. I think that should also include just enforcing curb appeal and homes that are not currently taking care of their space and visually are an eyesore. It's kind of where you have colors and signage. Yeah.
Force ACC policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will there be funding for a police force?
Mhm.
I'm all for that.
Me too. Because I'm not really that good at confronting people, especially if they're brandishing something. Okay, well, let's move on to recreation. And Adam, can I get you to read that to us?
Recreation. Recreation, whether trails, green space, pool, lake, golf course, just golf course, recreation center, rec programs. The Sudden Valley community is where there's a variety of recreational opportunities. Sudden Valley provides recreational opportunities that are accessible and inclusive because we believe all of our residents should have access to recreation and leisure opportunities.
These are aspirational statements.
Did everybody get that? Any thoughts on the definition or what it means before we jump in? All right. We are a community that recreates. And it's not just weekends. That last sunny day we had, it was like a traffic jam on the trail around Lake Louise. Everybody's out walking and at different times of day. Not to mention the golf course and the marina. So what comments do we have or priorities do we have? Lori?
I think we need to acknowledge that we have a vast community with people who like to recreate differently, and we need to respect all types of recreation.
So acknowledge the range.
Yes, some golf, some people boat, some people hike, some people do disc golf or play croquet or whatever, and that we have to respect that there's a space for everyone to do, within reason, to do activities of their choice.
So acknowledge, and I'm going to add respect there. The range of activities and the choices. I think that's a great place to start, for sure. Michael?
I'd like to see us consider prioritizing the maintenance of our recreational facilities as well. Give an example, the tennis courts down by the marina, they haven't been maintained in probably 10 years. And there are severe cracks in them.
I think there are recreational activities that are group activities, and there are recreational activities that are solo activities, of course. But to the extent that recreational activities are groups, I think they promote social engagement. And, the three legs of the stool that come from our purpose as is stated in the Articles of Incorporation, it's important to go back to those. We hold title, we collect money, and we spend that money to maintain things. So that's the second, we collect money and we pay money. And then the third one is we promote social engagement. And it's given the same weight as the other two. But I don't think we spend as much time on that third one as we do on collecting money and spending money. But, right, I mean, and it kind of makes sense, but, when I first came here, there's plenty of work to do in terms of operations, just collecting the money and spending the money, right? That's a full-time job for a large number of people. But if it's not done with an understanding that you need to promote that social engagement, it kind of falls flat, and that's the difference, I think, between what we do and what the county and city governments do, right? We have an obligation to promote that as stated in the covenants. Nancy?
I think under prioritize, I'd like to see the things that are used by the widest range of people or range in numbers and range in age and whatever income or whatever.
So volume and demos.
Yeah, the most widely used amenities for members.
Yeah, currently, we
First.
very carefully track how much each of the amenities contributes in terms of revenue. And we don't necessarily have mechanisms for tracking use data. Although in this facility, at least, we have added here in the community center a mechanism for counting. So that's a good thing. Other statements, Barbara?
Based on what you said before about promoting rec center stuff, or rec facilities, I mentioned like having more community-based events and clubs. One of the things I really like about like the Community Boat Center is they always send out emails once a month about various group activities. For example, a group paddle, group swim. I know we had like the cold plunge on the 1st, but what about having like more monthly get-togethers and communication of those things so that we're encouraging residents to get back out there and use some of these things and build community and bonding.
There you go.
There you go.
I think one of probably if you ask people at the top reasons why we we're going to say affordability, but it's recreation can be very high. It's going to be like we were talking about, it's a very diverse list of people do for recreation. Also looking into right now, if you Google like what is the most fastest for anybody, the idea.
Pickleball.
Yeah, say pick.
Not disc golf?
No, it's not. It's 17% a year. Regardless, looking at the recreation, pay attention to that plan because they are changing. People just changing. It's still play organized sports, soccer, and that. But I think we're also entering an era where people are looking for opportunities to go out on their own. Pickleball without. Yeah, I'm not sure what pickleball is easier than tennis. I have not played myself. My wife keeps on. We should get to that. We should do that. But just, I think looking at the opportunities to with trends.
Can I add on that? That could actually go with collaboration. There's a Bellingham Pickleball Club. Why aren't we collaborating with an organization like that to utilize our courts once they get you know, painted, refurbished? Because that could be revenue generating.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was gonna, mention was, looking for opportunities to utilize some of our recreational facilities to generate non-dues revenue.
Just
Yeah,
have
the
to be a
athletic
little-
fields for soccer makes big sense to me because there's lots of soccer teams.
Right.
Just have to be a little bit careful if we're going to be redoing the tennis courts. And if we start advertising and have everybody from Bellingham coming down there, then we're not going to have it for our members. And I really think we need to prioritize members. So we got to be a little careful on that one.
Oh, totally agree.
I agree.
Yeah, awesome. Any other thoughts, Sonia?
Yeah, so, one of the things we identified in the survey and had been on previous, there was only been basically in the history of Sun Valley, basically 3 really good surveys where you could pinpoint things. And on each of them, one thing that stood out is the members' desire to be able to walk the community. They asked for sidewalks or some type of sidewalk alternatives repeatedly. We found that that wouldn't work with our system. We had hoped that we would be able to do something like that. So it kind of transferred into identifying that we needed more of a connected trail system. Unfortunately, it's pretty expensive, and right now we're still trying to bring our current assets up to that minimum level of service. But I think it's going to be real important that we start addressing a long-term plan for these connected trails and what the phases will need to be, and if we're going to eventually address something that literally, I think I can't remember on the survey, but I think we had something like 8 else, any other amenity. And so I think it's something we're going to have to address.
Got it? AJ?
So kind of going off the idea of, areas that get utilized the most and stuff like that, I think we need to continue to finish the exterior repairs to this building to shore it up and begin the design process of the ice barn replacement, of an open air pavilion. And then another thing I would like to see us maybe look into is replacing foot golf on Wednesday nights with maybe a disc golf league. Yeah, when they do foot golf and they do foot golf when they have the trails open for the community to walk, they'll have foot golf on one of the nines. I don't know if it's the back or front nine. And yeah, so I'm proposing potentially, I don't ever see people playing foot golf much. There's usually maybe a couple groups at most. And so I think if we could try to promote a disc golf league or something like that and replace it, we might be able to make more revenue off of that.
Like that has actually incorporated disc golf into opportunity times. It's a bit of a discount to golf because we don't get that. But it had been, moderately successful at continuing it and use of the space. And people will actually, while waiting on a golf course game, playing up here, people play disc golf on a golf course. People have to put 15 to 20 dollars. Oh yeah, we rent carts. Big driver cart person comes around. We put up on beverages and it's like yeah. Same, same etiquette, same pace of play. It works well together. It's a little bit of a different demographic, and it's like I grew up snowboarding, and it was that so started here to snowboarders. Nobody likes it, and now we're all the same. We're all having fun with this.
So do they like to play in the rain?
Oh, yeah. Open
it up in winter.
Snow?
He's saying that do it in the winter.
Oh, yeah, well, that's where, when it starts, it started with that, was actually, was.
Sure. Through civic participation, our community works together to protect our shared values. Our engaged and informed membership and employees actively contribute to the community decision-making processes. Community feedback is embraced and considered, allowing the SBCA board and management to best meet the needs of the community.
Civic engagement. Barbara.
I think we need to focus more on a natural disaster plan and educating the community on things like that, which I know we started a committee on that, but I'd like to see it grow and work with Whatcom County and different organizations. Because I think a lot of residents are not educated on that and could use that.
I'm going to break that into two, educating and then collaborate with outside agencies. How's that? Who in the area of disaster management. Does that represent
Works for
what-
me.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, just highlighting the words engaged and informed membership. I think we need to not just try to inform and engage our membership, but try until our membership is engaged and informed. Some will resist, some do not want to be part of it. We have to make sure that all that do want to be part of our community and engaged are given that opportunity.
So you're saying until
Yeah.
it works.
Right. Don't give up.
Okay, anything else?
I would like to encourage the continued use of the community surveys that we've done in the past. I think we get really good information from them. Excuse me. And it allows pretty much everyone in the community to participate. And that is, we all acknowledge that every house gets one vote. In a survey, every member of the household gets one. So that's a way for further engagement.
Okay. Other thoughts about civic engagement?
I think we need to listen to the membership when they give us feedback on things. I think that's important. I concur. I think every 3 years we should be doing some sort of large scale survey effort to support long range planning and the board. And then, yeah, I think also we need transparency of decisions made.
So, we e-blast, a lot of people don't sign up for it, and we put the reminders at the mailboxes and stuff. But maybe if we had, more readable community boards in strategic locations, to help promote some of these things that we're talking about.
Awesome. And just so you know, we're above 2,000 people on the e-blast since we've been doing it weekly now for a year and a half. So that's grown from about 1,700 when we began, which is pretty significant growth. And considering the community is 3,100 households, not bad penetration, not perfect, not bad. Rick?
So earlier, volunteer engagement was listed or described. I think A couple things in relation to communication. It seems that we've had a communication committee in the past. It doesn't look like, is there an active one now? I don't know.
There is not.
Okay.
And the reason, I can tell you my reasoning for not wanting to support a communications committee is the the committees of the board support the board. Communication is an operational activity. So whereas it's important to have volunteers who can help to distribute things on social media and to help us post things unnecessarily, I don't see there would be a need for a committee to do those things. But that's, that's one person and their opinion.
So I think perhaps along the lines of a volunteer then, because there's a myriad of information that's on the website that is out of date and incorrect. And so I think that's what I was getting at was how can we bring that information up to date and keep it current? I think that actually acts as a discouragement for participation and engagement to not have up-to-date and accurate information. And along the lines with engaging the community, and maybe this has been tried in the past, I'm new here, so I don't know, but having periodic, and I'm thinking maybe monthly, just open kind of fireside chats in this room with the community and say, okay, tonight we're gonna be talking about whatever, or have part of the meeting discussing and reviewing and answering questions about information that's circulated in our newspaper, and then having some open time to receive some comments and questions and have build better relationships with the community and the board and the committees.
Did I get it? Use volunteers to update website info and consider fireside chats that are regularly timed.
And to expand on that, I think it'd be good if we planned our town hall meeting earlier than what we do, because by the time we engage the community, board's already made decisions. We're just telling them what we decided. We're not getting input.
But I think the meeting could serve both purposes. It could explain how we came about to that decision, the information that we had, maybe new information comes out, but also asking about upcoming decisions as well. I think we should be able to listen and respond to questions both.
Yeah, last year at the town hall, I think we planned 2 hours for the presentation, and the presentation portion of it was about 20 minutes. And the rest of the time, plus another 45 minutes, was taken up with answering questions. Very honest, informed questions that people had from the community, and I was encouraged by the quality of it, the amount of the attendance, and so I think we have an indicator that interactions like that are valued by the community.
I think if we have them more regularly, they'd also be shorter.
Yeah, that was a marathon.
Yeah.
Nancy?
Yeah, it'd be nice if we had more of a community gathering place. I realize the golfers have their golf club and the drinkers have the restaurant, not just drinkers. It's a place to gather. We used to have an adult center. It went away when the library needed a place to go.
In February, we started running an ad in the Views, encouraging people to make use of the public spaces here in the community center. And since that time, we've seen consistent uptick in the number of people reserving facilities, and also young people showing up, gather. They pretend to play pool, but mostly they just poke the cues into the ceiling and they hang out, right? Which is what it's about. So to the extent that we have these spaces, they are being used. Adam?
Yeah, I think just looking for opportunities to inform and engage community members early on. You know, catch them when they're first building a house here, they're excited about the art, before they somewhat become set in their ways, and, you know. But I think one of the things we all talk about on social media here, that there's like, you see the same questions come up over and over again, like every 3 years, it's having turnover. There's always new people asking the same kind of question. It just seems like, you know, I know the information's there on the website. Why don't they touch the roads and roads? Yeah, but I think that there's a key time that you kind of almost have a captive audience, new moving in here, to give them the proper information.
I'll never forget, this actually happened last year, June, first couple of weeks of June. Lady comes in to the Welcome Center because there was some confusion around payment of her dues. And while she was waiting, there was a family in front of her that were paying or getting a swim pass or something. They were, asking about swim lessons and making sure that their access cards worked for the pools. And so there was all this talk about pools. Well, the young mom and her young kids left, along with a lot of commotion. And she had lived here for 15 years. Oh, yeah, she never realized that there was a pool. Barbara,
sorry.
and then
I actually had that under diversity and inclusiveness, that new residents like tour workshops to inform them.
Michael?
With regard to the fireside chats, in one of the communities that I work in, the mayor has initiated I think it's every couple of weeks, on a Saturday morning, she takes a room at the local library for a sit down with anybody who wants to walk in.
Yeah. Last year, on the anniversary of my tenure as general manager, I did a video, brief, it was like 10 minutes, kind of a State of the Union. And it got a bizarrely large number of views. Sonia, maybe, do you remember? It was like thousands.
Yeah, it was, I think it was over 2,000 views. It's crazy.
Yeah, some of that was Sonia watching it on repeat.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think everything points to people want information, but they consume it differently. And so all of these ideas are great, great ideas. So let's move on to quality of life. Perhaps, Rick, could you read that?
Sure. Quality of life. We value the quality of life in our community, protected through our relationships, bylaws, policies, and procedures. Livability, social, economic, and ecological, and a sense of belonging are required elements of a sustainable community and a successful collaborative planning process. Fiscal soundness and prudence enables us to deliver the services and maintain the resources our community needs and desires.
Quality of life. Only in America do we have to remind people that this is important. Michael.
I'd like to start with the issue of safety, and I want to be specific about this. I live in Gate 1. There are approximately 600 homes in Gate 1 with one point of access. As I said earlier, I've been a planner for 45 years, and I've worked in communities all across the country. And in just about every community I've worked in, the maximum number of units you can have with one point of access is 20. So in my opinion, we've got a disaster that's waiting to happen. And the same thing applies to Gate 2. I've looked at all, gate 5 has kind of a.
The
yeah,
Southern
yeah,
Court, sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it has to.
The L need to be looked at more closely. But, what I'd like to do, if you're in agreement, I'd like to be able to sit down with you at some point and talk to you about this, because I have an idea of how this could work and pay for itself.
It might be better to talk to the Long Range Planning Committee itself, because my primary function is to execute the operational plan and then contribute towards the planning. But I'm happy to hear and happy to help you formulate and get it to the right folks. So always happy for that. But yeah, safety is important. I think it's super important to remember that we don't live in a vacuum and that the association has the 3 purposes that we talked about. And we contribute a lot in tax dollars to the county and state and federal agencies that are there to protect us. And I would suggest that in addition to having safety be a focus for our internal decision-making, that we also attempt to make it important to local, state, and federal agencies to include Sudden Valley in their planning. Because a lot of our dollars go completely outside of this community, and a homeowners association is not necessarily who you want saving you when something serious goes down. Anyhow, that's my 2 cents. Other thoughts around quality of life? Sonia?
Yeah, I put, well, 2 things. One, enhance and encourage more commercial non-dues revenue generating opportunities, which actually then it allows our dollars to go much further and to then provide more quality programs and services to the membership. And then also I put appropriate investment and reinvestment in community infrastructure. And through that also includes everything we do when we put dollars to it should consider safety. That should be included in everything, no matter what category it falls under. That should be one of our primary focuses is, and is it the universal planning and safety best practices, right?
Awesome. One of the things that people often tell me when they come into the Welcome Center is that they are discouraged from becoming because of the visible conflict on Facebook and what they perceive as an extremely adversarial community around key issues. And so to improve the quality of life and to enhance civic engagement and social engagement, does this group feel that it's reasonable to include promoting civil interaction?
I think that falls more under collaborative community, working together. I mean, that's my opinion.
I actually had that reduce online defamation, politics, misinformation, because it does discourage new residents to get involved.
Under quality of life?
I do think it's quality of life because it affects our quality of life when there is stress and conflict.
So-
Adversarial things cause that.
Yeah. Can you give me your words again? I thought they were really good.
Reduce online defamation, politics, and misinformation. I think that's also why a lot of residents are not engaged anymore that have lived here a very long time, such as my neighbors. They have seen it too long and just don't want to be part. They don't vote. They don't care. They're not involved at all in the community other than living here.
I think it's an issue to grapple with for sure.
Plus, it spreads to outside. There's people in Bellingham that view Sudden Valley as not a place to move to. They won't even consider buying here when they move here because they hear about it.
Nancy?
I added character assassination to that list of things that,
Could that not be a subset of defamation?
yeah,
Can we agree that
and
it's
slander.
slander, all these things? Anyhow, yeah, just yesterday when we were on that facilities tour, one of the residents came out, a long-term resident, super knowledgeable about infrastructure, things that had happened. And I said to him, so you're really up on all these things. Why aren't you coming to the board or volunteering on a committee? And he says, no way, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. You know, I don't need my name to be splattered all over Facebook. And I think it takes a real strength of character to become involved as you all have, because you know that happens. And regardless of how pure your intentions are, how much you want to help, you end up getting mud thrown at you. And so to the extent that we can stop doing that and set an example for others that makes them feel somewhat ashamed when they do it, I think will contribute towards better quality of life, more collaboration, more civic engagement, all those good things. Anyway, thanks for that one. Any other things? to go
Yeah,
through?
well, I had kind of two main categories when I was thinking about quality of life. And one is what attracted all of us to come here, the beauty of the natural environment that contributes. So maintaining that, of course, that's been mentioned before. And then the other is that I had also written down was just building a better sense of community in a positive sense, you know, and I think that's been, you know, Barbara referenced that in her comments as well. But that does contribute to our quality of life. Nobody likes tension and dissent, angst.
Also improves home values.
Yeah, it sure does. But we mentioned before passion. That was in one of our, that was in one of our lists. And to the extent that people are passionate about where they live, and I think there's a higher level of engagement in this community than I have seen in many others that I've lived in throughout the years. I've lived all over the country in different urban, rural, and even some suburban environments. And this is believe it or not, the level of engagement we have here, while we would like it to be higher, is more than in a lot of communities. I think that because people care about, but the more you care, okay, and we had some hotly contested decisions earlier, right? Hamburgers is one of them. AJ was not heard by his group. And they stubbornly went ahead and chose pancakes. All right, now, I mean, who in their right mind would choose a pancake over a hamburger? I don't know. But that happens. The more you care, the more you can fight and disagree. And that's why I think that not only do we have to acknowledge and support people for being kind, but we have to understand when they're not. And remind them gently that I hear you, I appreciate that you feel strongly. I wish you weren't making me feel bad for disagreeing with you, like tone it down. But anyway, quality of life. Is there anything else we need to add here? A lot of the stuff that contributes to quality of life is what we already talked about, right? We have a beautiful natural environment. We have a lot of recreation. If we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul and having to drive over potholes, like all of that increases our quality of life. But I think this one does tie a bow on some of those things and bring it together. So let's move on then to diversity and
AJ
inclusive-
had his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sonia, do you have
What?
something to add? Or
I was just gonna say, like it was mentioned before, but like the new resident handbook or getting in a resident handbook that gets updated, I think that needs to be brought. Like, I don't know if we give one out still or not. Obviously, I'm not buying houses out here regularly to find out,
we
but
stopped handing it out just for your information because much of what it contains was wrong.
yeah, and I think a new one needs to get developed, and I think promoting that quality of life that we have here, like Adam said at the onset, and providing a lot of additional information to people when they first move in here can be a beneficial time.
Yeah. First in.
I think you can include every subject matter we talked about today in that handbook
Yeah,
in a way that will
yeah.
able to be involved.
And then I think too, on top of that, I know we were working on it at last year, but a comprehensive board policies and procedures manual needs to be developed. The board's policies are a joke. Most of them are dated. Most of it's just kept on like a website. That's the only way to actually see it. Really difficult for community members to actually understand how things are supposed to operate here when our policies look like that. And that was something we were working on, and I think it needs to get finished.
Thanks. Anything else? All right, diversity and inclusiveness. Barbara, could you read that for us?
We are a community that values differences and creates a welcoming, inclusive environment that encourages innovation, increased participation, and an elevated sense of community and belonging for all.
Guy has gotten a bad rap. Mr. Musk is not a fan. But amongst us normal humans, I think to the extent that we can be inclusive, we prosper. And when we are diverse in the teams that we form to solve problems, we do it better. When there are different perspectives, we do it more completely. We don't take the first solution that presents itself. And so both diversity and inclusivity are key to a community, right? And one of the things that is immediately apparent, the first observation people make, imagine an alien coming down to Earth in Sudden Valley, not so far-fetched when you think about what happens here. And they were cruise around, they would immediately note that there are tiny little houses and there are enormous houses. And there are people nestled into the woods, and there are people on hillsides exposed to the light. I mean, you name it, we've got it here. We have tall, skinny houses, we have ramblers, we have old and young, and everything in between. And this is truly a melting pot in a way that many areas of Bellingham are not, if you think about it. Like, if you think of neighborhoods, they are probably, that you can identify readily, they are not as demographically diverse, nor is their architecture as diverse. And so we are uniquely positioned to benefit from diversity or diversity or suffer from it. So what do you guys have listed on your worksheets in this category? Sonia.
Yeah, I said that we need to determine the community's need and desire for an adult community center. We've at two years in a row, we've had people stand up at the AGM and say that we aren't really doing anything for our seniors out here. So I think part of when we do the survey this year or even prior, we need to make a determination of the adult center originally served that purpose. It's not there now. And do we want to reevaluate that? It opens up outside programs. These senior centers in Bellingham actually serve food. They have educational opportunities. They bring in people that do taxes, et cetera, but there's programs associated with it that we don't have a specific place, for those people to meet. And they're not necessarily a segment of our population that's going to, when they recreate, it's more relaxation. They're not going to be more, a lot of them aren't playing and things like that. So we need a place for them to, like Nancy had brought up, to be part of the community and bring them in. And the other thing is that I had put on here, and both Michael and Nancy mentioned, had to do with also, I put one lot equals one vote, regardless of gate number or socioeconomic status. It kind of speaks to what Joanne said too. And so that should ensure that all gates, roads, and culverts are evaluated equally, and funds are spent based on need identified by the engineering firm overseeing our roads and culvert plan. But it means exactly what Joanne was just saying, that we all, our vote is equal, no matter what, no matter if you're living in a whatever $100,000 home, or in a condo or whatever, versus somebody that's living in the, the highest economic category. Your vote is equal, and we need to respect everybody for that.
And then maintain and foster an environment that promotes inclusive technology that different reasons why different people are diverse, different, smaller groups and understanding that there's, like, hey, there's not a giant senior population here that has, is probably not most boisterous about their needs, but they exist. Yeah. Even the smallest group needs the opportunity to include and to feel like they're without. I'm a little bit to like my opinion on social media. I have a daughter, she's 26. She was 16, she made she realized all this stuff on the phone. And that is, something that we should all consider with social media stuff. We used to live in our, you leave work, you leave the bar, whatever. Generally, unless they're making a prank call, somebody's calling you, but now we have an environment where if kids leave school and they realize they're getting trashed on sidewalks, so it's, I don't know, it's create, we need to work better to create an environment where people aren't afraid to speak out or have voices heard and trash really kind of thing.
I'm going to say address the issues magnified by social media. How's that? Because it's not as though social media created
It's an
gossip.
awesome tool, take it.
Yeah.
It's a great tool for communication. It's changed society.
And there are very limited ways in which we can do this, but the primary one is to set a good example. And to mention that good example to people, and they kind of become ashamed. Other things about diversity, Barb?
Overall communication, I think, we can improve that as a HOA, either on social media, in our e-blasts, wherever, website. But I kind of have a question, because to me, diversity, I mean, I also come from Silicon Valley, where it's probably one of the most diverse ethnical, cultural areas in the country. Washington is a primarily white community, and I'm assuming Sun Valley is a high percentage of a white community. Is that really diversity? Kind of a question. And do we promote other ethnical groups to come live here and be part of it? Do we integrate them? It's more of a question than, but something I think we could work on as a community.
Yeah, when I originally started in office, one of the groups we had was Diversity Justice Inclusive Group, and we do a lot of work with various tribes. That is one of the more recent ones we had was basically interacting and communicating tribal leaders, understanding, not pandering. So they provide us with really great, for sure, essentially, just, taking down assumptions. I mean, there's a whole plethora, but I think that when we look at where we do live, that is probably one of our larger interactions is with tribal communities. They're very prevalent. I mean, very organized and strong government. And they're also potential, partners and collaborators. Promise for them.
You don't read the whole thing, but just say that we do have.
And I think that it's very important that we acknowledge where we position.
There's also more than one kind of diversity. I mean, like we said, there's economic diversity, there's political diversity, there's religious diversity. It doesn't always have to be about race.
My daughter is openly gay. It's a very much, we've been celebrating diversity. We're very fortunate here because he said it. And it's community members attacking.
There are some very.
There are some different times being experienced. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who will pick on you for virtually anything. Um, But I think we've got some basics down here. Anything that anyone can see is missing? Because this is an important one. AJ?
Well, I think, economic diversity and inclusiveness, it falls in both, like the stable dues thing again. Stable, predictable dues, considering the people in our community who have the least amount of excess or not even have excess budget to pay for dues when we're making these decisions.
Yeah, the one lot, one vote is equitable until it isn't, right? Until it means different things to vote for or against something based on your economic status at any one time. Correct?
Yeah, I think just to restate probably the obvious, but there were two main things or concepts that I thought of, and one had to do with the tribal history of the area. But just basically, in my mind and experiences I've had with other organizations, just basically being respectful and accepting of everyone in the community. Not that you have to like them, because we all have differences, but we also have a lot of similarities and shared needs and wants.
Awesome. Okay, we've ran over our time for this part of the exercise, but it is a really important one. So what I'm going to do is put this last strategic priority up on the wall, and then we're going to break for lunch. But during lunch, what I'd like people to do, in addition to eating, is to wander by, perhaps while you're eating, and read through again all of the items that we've listed here under each of the priorities. And you each have 3 dots that were given to you. If you've lost your dots, I will charge you for them. No. And I've cut it so that everybody gets a pink dot, an orange dot, and a green dot. So I'd like everyone to take a pen and write 1 in their green dot. And then write 2 on the orange dot. And sadly, the magenta or pink dot is in 3rd place. So during lunch, please affix your 1, 2, and 3 to your top 1, 2, 3 priorities up here.
Can we do 1, 2, 3 on each priority, or we only get 3?
You only get 3. So
Only
you really have to
3 things
choose.
this
Make
year.
them count.
Right, and we can do a second round of voting towards the end, but I think by forcing you to choose, you're really going to have to consider. Okay, and we honed our decision-making skills earlier as we started the day. So go ahead and affix your dot accordingly. Okay, and then after lunch, I will give you new dots, and they'll be the ABC dots. Make your choice count. And please avail yourself of the food in the back. And we will come back. It's now 12:30, which is late. But we are going to come back at 1:15. This morning, our session focused on thinking about how we make decisions and then identifying a set of things that align with each of our strategic priorities. Good things we want to consider doing, practices that will contribute towards achievement of one of our strategic priorities. And we practiced making lists and thinking through the things that we put on that list, potentially modifying them or expanding on them as appropriate. So all of these activities were preparation for our afternoon, where each individual group, we have 3 groups, we have 3 major topics to take on. So first part of this afternoon is going to be each individual group going through a brainstorming activity for the 3 different major assets that we have listed on the agenda. The assets are the recreation corridor, which includes Barn 6, which is the ice barn, and Barn 8, which is where we're now, the dance barn or community center. The second major asset is the marina. And the third major asset is the clubhouse. So each of these major assets will have a group work on it. And the idea is to come up with 2 lists. One list will be the features that are presented to the community, or the opportunities that are presented to the of the marina. But the idea is that the marina area allows us access to the lake for boating. Okay, does that make sense? So the opportunities, things that can be done there, and the elements, the sort of the activities that are hosted there, and then the elements of the asset itself that contribute towards those. Does that make sense? Or are those too weird?
Like basically the
2 lists.
uses or the possible uses.
Right, and then the features that contribute towards those uses. So we have access to the water. That's a feature of the marina. Access to the water allows us to boat, fish, swim, throw our dogs in, whatever we do, okay?
Okay, so not, the uses isn't in category 1 then. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were directing.
Yeah, so feature that could be exploited. You can think of them as opportunities, right? Can be exploited features, and then activities that can be supported by that amenity or that asset.
Are both of them in column 1 or the one's
2
in column
columns.
2? Okay,
It's 2 lists.
so column 1 is the feature and the of the facility or the area, and column 2 is the use or the amenity or the
Yeah, the stuff that happens there, activities. So think one is nouns, one is verbs. Does that help?
Okay.
For those of you who weren't beaten by none, things and actions. All right, so I'm going to randomly assign the 3 asset areas, and we'll have the group over here work on the marina. We'll have the group over here work on the barn. We'll have the group over there work on the clubhouse. Okay, so those are our 3 major asset areas. Okay, you're going to make 2 lists, and you're going to have 20 minutes to do this. And then we're going to come back together, and we're going to take the raw materials that each group has put together, and we're going to try do a SWOT. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threats for each of these 3 assets. And then at the end of doing that SWOT, we're going to sit for a minute and reflect on whether we think it was successful or whether we think there's a lot more thinking to do. And then as a result of that reflection, I'd like to come up with a list of potential action items to help us move each of those things forward. And the idea of that part of it is, are you convinced by this analysis, or do you feel as though you would need more information to make a decision to invest in that asset? Okay, so nouns and the verbs is what we're working on first as groups. 20 minutes for that. And it is now 1:22, so let's say 1:25. So at 1:45, wrap up your list making, and we'll come back and we'll start going through the SWOTs, which will be fun. I guarantee it. Thank you.
Get a picture of it. I'm gonna do the ice.
Helps, that helps. Visual. Wait,
Here,
this,
you've got a whiteboard right here. You're gonna share it with others. use this as raw material for the.
I don't have it. Daniel, you can, we can use this in the meantime.
Is that in this?
I think there was pictures of, well, we have two areas. One is barn 8 and one is barn 6.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
They're completely different.
We have, just go back upstairs, we have.
Right, we have the empty office. Areas, opportunities, issues and concern. And we only have two.
So we're doing all the Fall Farms, right?
Now we're doing both.
There's so the ice barn and the,
Pool. And the tennis court,
Oh.
oh, okay.
and the playground.
Are we doing the rest?
All right.
This.
So then you have to bring them up as,
There it is, right.
okay, so then there's room in the social. Barn 6, barn 8, tennis courts.
It's literally like.
I mean,
And a small dog park too, or?
yeah,
It's up,
I'll start with an easy one.
yes.
Probably the
Yeah,
pool.
it's right for the very end. Has a bunch of photos. Pool and all that, yeah. I don't see how this creation. There are two things.
There is, but-
Barmaid.
But see, I listened to what Joanne said and she said,
That's not what I heard Joanne say.
We need some clarification.
with not just barn 6 and barn 8, but pool, tennis courts and the whole corridor, or you just want us to do
The way I
barn
read it
6?
is these are in
On the backside of that.
Nation corridor. and
You're
that's
looking
what
at
we-
where your post shop is and then,
But I would.
yeah. So it's on the backside of that, is this room we mainly walk into. Elegance on the right, the old office space on the left.
Elements of the pool and the changing.
And then there's a tea room.
You can't be-
Remember, do
We did not go into the restaurant.
Ornate does.
Yeah. So it's not- is it part of the? Yeah, it's part of the restaurant. Okay.
There's another bank. It looks out onto the.
Like now the
We've got the
barn-
kitchens too, this kitchen and that.
Precisely. That's
Right,
what
right.
Meetings happen.
Okay.
Hang out.
Very.
Get to uses here.
Working. Very dependent.
So these are all features, right? Or the features go beyond that?
Yeah, the features would be, okay, let's just take,
There's a pool. That's a feature.
start with this one. Yeah, it's a meeting place.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a
features.
Feature, but that's a,
As a function,
meeting rooms.
Ignore the custodians.
as a function, we're gonna
Okay, so
delineate,
it's got the, what do you call
we got an
it?
open space.
Changing them with
Gym. We have exercise equipment.
Yeah.
We have pool equipment.
Actually, that's.
Uh,
That sitting room with the television. And like a little library. What is- Kind of a hangout.
It's like a conversation.
Yeah, that whole area
That's
with the
what it
paintings and,
Sunshine room.
yeah.
Men will be more like. Wait till we get home. Men will do it right there.
Alone.
Meeting rooms,
And then,
because this is one of the meeting rooms.
We have more
Go
features.
downstairs.
No, there's no sauna.
Mm.
Is there sauna in the?
Basically. what-
There's a sauna on the diagram, whether or not it's a real sauna, I don't know.
What did you say
White
it is?
space?
Rent. Space.
Yeah.
I don't think rental.
I haven't either.
Building.
Been to the restaurant.
You just said in the rooms, but no.
Yeah.
Really, the walk of
Uh,
what you need to because of
Oh,
the
it's-
next door.
There's also equipment,
I think we got most of the spaces identified. Okay, so.
the filter and the.
Okay, so.
I think we got the hardest one.
It's almost
We're all
impossible.
going to get all of somebody else's.
Easy one.
Oh, they-
Starting
oh, I
there.
see. Okay.
So what's that you can do?
And there's just so many elements. to this particular one. You have the nicest version.
So you've got.
Crossword puzzles.
It's pretty nice from here. I think.
So what are our opportunities?
Okay, so meeting rooms would be, rental.
Yeah.
Pool is
So we used to have.
social and rental.
If you come into gate one, right, we used to class, and then we have. Gate one, say, have, and you could go out here.
Yeah.
but like the one who lost his really nice, so, I think that
Mental swim team. March, I'm losing. I was in subdivision
and that's.
HOA. Had these beauties. Olympic went over. Somebody
In
invited
the,
swim teams.
the.
The president. Really, great ideas.
Yeah, I don't like
You know,
that.
That's the swim teams.
There was another day along.
And meets every evening in the summer. It was the swim.
We used it with.
And that was a lousy deal. So no swim teams. Personal experience.
I agree.
So the gym is
So that would be the other one.
physical activity, fitness.
So the restaurant there.
Eating, socializing. You go down there and you listen to it.
Yeah, because they've got a.
Just used to it. I went until I didn't get here for the television choice. I mean. It was when Obama was president. Back. With Warren.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna agree on TV choices.
You want to have an event.
You know, you have to pick something.
But it's still, it's a use, so.
I, it's so disjointed. If you're a little more organized, I'm just kind of writing
Nancy's
ideas.
the secretary, she should present it.
No, I was not a secretary.
Oh, no, that's what I
I
was
didn't
thinking.
think I was.
No, I was thinking the board secretary, but you were not, you were
I was
entity.
never a board secretary.
You're right. I was thinking it for a second, but you were entity.
I was in the chair.
We're doing
And then I
features and
was-
activities, right?
Yeah.
Features and activities. Let's figure out what is it.
There used to be a Bob's Burgers.
It's just.
I thought I was a secretary in the Linda. That was,
Successful in the sense that they're paying rent.
and I didn't. take that.
Okay, do you, what do you?
So
Are we supposed to write it on the board, Joanne?
Yeah, so that it's visible when we're doing stuff.
the features, we've got like gym, we've got sunshine room, we've got the lounge area, we've got tennis courts, medical rooms for the pool, kitchens.
You guys tell me what to write. Features and use.
I don't even want to go to the restaurant. Instead of the sunshine room, sunshine / archive room, because that room
Oh, you're
can
trying to-
never be sunshine.
So you're kind of you're slanting the,
If you look at the plat, it's no, these are the ones that can
Yeah.
have called the sunshine.
I would say it's just full of chambers.
Activity room.
Know what it is, Nancy. It does. Know what it is.
So does sunshine / archives know what it
Why don't I
is?
say it?
Just put, because
Good question.
you don't want people thinking that.
As far as the restaurant rental.
It would never.
We've got, well, we've got plenty of room. The
Yes,
empty
They
room.
own that. They can not own, but they control that.
Storage, a lot of storage.
Okay. Next.
I'm gonna say, I guess tennis courts.
So the foyer is also, if you want to use it, you have to have it.
We just want.
Please for that.
This
Say
could be-
tennis.
Tennis slash pickleball.
It's not
It will be pickleball. It's redone.
In which room?
Skateboarding.
I walk by there all the time. I just never noticed. I just assumed it was there.
Depending on which game you're playing.
Right, yeah, I saw
Lines
that.
or the pickleball line.
We got the pool.
Swimming.
Classes,
Classes.
training. Our department uses,
So we can,
Oh, do they?
that just could be like a meeting area.
no, have no problem.
Yeah. Can't say no to that.
I know they use the marina.
Yeah, I've seen them in the marina too.
They use that pool too.
Um,
Classes, training shop is really, usually.
Oh, we gotta go to this thing really good with that.
we got the gym.
Social.
Restrooms, obviously. is free. Rooms are.
The pool is in game.
Oh, the game.
Really, what?
Yeah.
The billiard room.
Billiard.
Game room. Game room.
Team, well, I think they call it the team room. Game lounge, is that what it is?
1912 is currently being operated.
Is the what room?
There's 3 card tables, there's puzzles and books in there.
Well, I think the. Not the big one, that's the. exit. Yeah, the A. Not practical. It used to
So what
be.
about the dance? One too. Well, definitely. We have our closed.
Oh,
sessions.
Uh,
There's,
What do they call it?
Multi-purpose
The
A.
dance room. They do the dance
We
class.
have our closed sessions.
Yeah.
That's multi-purpose room A.
Oh,
That's the best name.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but it needs.
You know, the library, that's a wooden floor,
Meeting,
mirror,
dance
LA bars.
Is more.
It's still there.
The day school is in that. village and company.
And
I feel like
there's
maybe.
We've got two kitchens.
Like, I'm just making something up, let's say like there was a doctor's. Maybe offer.
Functions, parties.
not.
And.
Are we supposed to identify this
Warm up.
Oh, we've got the other one downstairs.
But it would have.
For opportunities though, right?
Remember that
Locker
up one?
room.
I mean, which doesn't.
Yeah.
Like you already set up the multiple offices. You know, shared offices.
I think so, yeah. I think there's one in the library too.
How it-
That
That's the
one's-
one that got taken.
That-
Check it out.
Yeah, people were cooking. I kid you not.
Right.
You could smell it.
Yeah, that's a first.
Hey, some people cook on their engine.
They said that
With
the.
So we've got, what
financial
about the other ice bar? We didn't talk about that.
completely in another.
That's totally, that's Barnett. Features. This is only Barn 6.
A lot of
Features or ice
buildings.
We could.
I look at how much space that, those are full, which it sounds like pretty full.
I don't know how high up.
The- Which I see renting all over the place.
Yeah.
So that would be what?
Use right now. is
Storage.
Storage,
Hay bales.
or storage in those containers.
Yeah, the property files. But we're supposed to be writing on here.
plaza with a Zamboni, and we can't put. Sets of views. This is the case.
I'm wondering.
Half of the in the footprint and within the existing height.
Okay, I mean,
I know we have.
This is.
potentially this could be a meeting place or a picnic area, the open pavilion.
Like farmers market.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the condition the county put on it for 2 months, the demolition of the building, submit a complete shoreline permit application. If it's desired to
Yeah.
replace the structure. with a similar
Why
size.
can't we just get an extension?
No,
Yeah, why
do it
they
all the
will
time.
give it, don't want you to build there. So any excuse the county can create to prevent you from building, they will take. And I actually have, and I actually have that in writing. There's a two. No, no,
$100 for another 6 months.
no.
We have to.
Fast. Yeah. So
Those are the rules.
and feature on ice barn, place an existing. footprint. Sets gas. The county said it was. Big argument, because in barn 6, there was.
Are we?
Additional shed.
We're just
They put it out of the existing.
Right here. Barbara?
I'm surprised they care about that.
Make it small.
Okay.
And I. Okay.
We didn't write the sort of the lounge area where they, when you just walk into the
Oh, here?
top,
And we've got.
TV is, and I think they have books there too, and people hang out there.
Cookie now don't have the restrooms.
Well, write it small.
Lockers. Office space, really.
Okay.
Lounge area.
So we were supposed to do. What we voted on in the advisory vote was I spot current. I'm sorry.
That was in the.
Here, yeah,
We move existing and replace with open air pavilion, no special assessment.
Almost done. Like eating meals, banquets and that. Social.
There's my basketball. I think it could be social space.
You can just add that in.
What else was there? We have, so the. Retail.
Yeah, if we boosted up the.
Oh.
I think.
I think a lot of them need to have resources. I think you're right.
Good talk. Social.
Where it's just the space.
What if we didn't have- We're gonna leave us there. And obviously up.
Right, yeah.
You're not gonna put it in and have like lousy power.
You gotta have
What-
light.
Damn it, that would have been such a good idea.
They've got lights in it now, so you.
Virtual golf.
There's the power. This existing power, that's not what I don't. there is.
We also talked about.
And I don't know if. we
Yeah, I
get
thought somebody
that.
mentioned something about that yesterday. Can't remember.
It may be.
You could probably, look into
Video.
the city water needs, because there's already water in Barn 8, and there's, I don't even saw a hose there. That might even be water. Wouldn't be very hard, very hard.
It wouldn't be, it'd be easy.
Yes, the water's
Wow,
not.
do with this stuff.
They're gonna have to actually, because washrooms are, they're actually going to, because washrooms are planned in there.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure on the plans it said washrooms.
Oh, yeah.
They show both.
All right. Thank you for your homework. We're now going to bring it all together and start our SWOTs. Okay. Now, the SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. And traditionally, it's laid out in a grid. So you can, on a single piece of paper, get a sense for total picture around. We're going to start with the rec corridor. And behind each easel that you guys are working with, there is a extra piece of paper. So I'm going to ask, there are 4 people recording, so we can go back and forth between strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. So put it on the front. You need your, we don't want to cover yours up because yours is what we're using as raw material. So they turn your equals over.
Strengths, do you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right, and then we need a.
Work on our weaknesses.
Scribe.
Yeah, so turn it so everyone can see, and we need another scribe over here for opportunities. Adam, do you want to be a scribe?
No one will be able to read it though.
Well, somebody volunteer.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I can submit it, my handwriting, somebody else.
Or like side to side, so I can still see.
Yeah, so move that to the front, and then you turn it so we can all see it.
I can see. Why is it big ass? About that base. Right. No.
Okay, and then you just bring it a little bit, so everybody. All right, now, we're gonna ask this table to walk through the features and the various uses of the rec corridor, read their list to us. So
You can see it better, Nancy.
Yeah, features, Barn 8. Archive room / sunshine room. Tennis courts, pool. Gym. Game lounge. Multi-purpose room A. A lounge area, kitchens, a locker room / sauna. That's about what we had meeting rooms. I don't see them out there, so we just that.
Okay, and then ice bar. Hey, can you talk in the mic, maybe? Or.
Ice bar features, replace an existing footprint.
Okay.
And height.
And then, the uses that you guys identified.
Uses, playing for children, storage, tennis / pickleball, swimming for the pool, swimming classes, training, and parties. You know, those were training parties. 2
Those were separate.
Gym, social and exercise, game lounge, social and games, multi-purpose A, closed session, dance classes, socializing.
Parties again, parties
Storage. I think the other was. That went with the ice barn. Okay, the ice barn was, the feature was.
Bad
existing
storage.
footprint, and the uses are storage, potential uses. Were farmers market, basketball, and social space.
So it sounds like we can meet here, we can play here, we store things here. Another feature that we don't have in many other places, have a lot of parking here.
Yeah.
Okay, so parking. We also have the athletic fields, which are a large flat open space. Large flat open spaces are not a dime a dozen here in Sun Valley. So the athletic fields are a unique resource.
Opportunity for non-dues revenue.
Okay, so thanks for reminding us of all the things that take place here. We have governance activities, social activities, it's a hub for recreation. So of all the areas in Sun Valley, this is where people come together for law, right? And that's facilitated by the fact that it's easy to get to, it's relatively close to the main entry point at Guam Boulevard, and there's plenty of parking. And a lot of people can even get here on foot. There's a high density population around this area because of the condo placement. A lot of people walk here. All right. So those are all the sort of the parameters to keep in mind as we do the SWOT. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, often in a SWOT, the same thing will appear in different contexts. Sometimes it'll be a strength. You've got this big barn, sometimes it'll be a weakness. Barn is old. Okay, so don't be surprised or hesitant to suggest that something might appear in more than one spot. Okay, now, after having done an innumerable amount of SWOT analyses with people, teams, large teams, lazy executives, energetic project managers, the whole gamut. I learned that the best way to do a SWOT is top of mind. If you start thinking too much about any single thing you put down, you immediately are at a too granular level for what this is. But the idea is to quickly say, what makes this cool? What could potentially break us as a weakness? What could we do with this space? And what are the obstacles to doing those cool things with this space? Okay, so that's a different way to think about strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. Are we ready? This is like the lightning. Okay, everyone just have their donuts. So who's got strengths? Or weaknesses? Opportunities? And I'm threats. Awesome. All right, so let's start with strengths. What are strengths of the rec board?
Pretty summertime recreation.
The big building,
Space.
flat outdoor area.
Right, lots of space. Open space, flat space, closed space, big space, small space, space.
I think it's very unique to anywhere in Whatcom County, because we have all of this right here. I guess you could say Arnie Hanna. We have the pool, we have all the. They're very unique and it sets us aside.
So not only do we have all these types of space, but they're adjacent to each other.
And they're very diverse.
They're very diverse. So we can accommodate many different kinds of activities here.
And then water nearby.
Water nearby. We're writing faster. Okay, keep going. I think access is a strength. You can get here relatively easily. What else is a strength?
Parking?
Parking, we can support all age ranges.
I'm very,
of activities
very
here.
active.
We have stuff for children to go.
Do we include the library, old senior center, adult center in the rec corridor? Because we didn't even think about that.
We had a lot of
Currently, a lot
elements.
of it used sort of outside of control. So I think it should remain in our peripheral vision. We don't want to lose sight of it, but it's not an immediate.
Is there a community garden with that parking lot?
Yeah, out of, on the far side of the big parking lot.
Next to the, yeah. All right, weaknesses. What are some of the weaknesses? Age of the building,
Yeah, for sure.
age / condition. Because really the age wouldn't matter if it was in great condition. Condition of the building.
Tough to maintain.
Okay, what's another weakness?
It's in the watershed. Maybe it's,
Limited
but,
ability to
yeah.
expand.
Yeah.
Modify.
which, puts that situation, tear down, use and lose it.
Right. I mentioned density of population around this area as a good thing, it's also a weakness, because certain events generate noise and disrupt people's lives. So the high density population can be a weakness as well.
As well as the parking, because it's not, there's no actual parking spots, or there wasn't, and I remember one summer when I first moved here, everyone was blocking everybody in and people couldn't get out and move their cars. And then everyone was parking along everyone's home along the way, and it just turned into a disaster.
Yeah, I think we've got, that's been a lot of, yeah, a lot of that's been addressed. Yeah, so
Timeline,
the other thing is,
anything you do because of the company. Whatever, I don't know.
I can't hear.
I think the weakness is that we are open to that it's public spaces versus. Yes.
Part of those water rules.
Okay, so Lori, you said,
That is open to the public versus private.
Is a weakness, is a weakness.
I think it's a weakness and a threat.
Well, I was thinking like there's no, no programmatics, like we don't actually.
recreational program. So no recreational programming, no current recreational program.
And as far as open to the public, it's more of a weakness because public also doesn't know our rules. So they don't know where to park, don't know where to go, they don't know stuff like that.
Any other strengths or weaknesses?
Did we talk about the fact that some is dilapidated?
Yeah.
I think age.
Condition of the.
Oh, sorry.
Anything else?
I think maybe, kind of going along with both of the public being a weakness, I think available to the public can be seen as a strength, because if I have friends looking to me that get fined to get the full pass, and again, you're probably the best out there, that 1 inch more is expensive and small.
Right, so when we start thinking about opportunities, it's good to have that listed as a strength, because the opportunity exists to have revenue from a concession business, and we're pulling from non-members as well.
Especially with the pool, so if somebody has a pool membership, could they technically walk in and use the gym equipment too with the same pass scan?
They have to buy a gym pass.
So there is a gym, okay, so. Curious.
All our
Those
facilities
opportunities.
here are open to the public by paying.
Okay, so you know, something like at a big gymnasium,
Not the.
you could either be a key pass and access that.
Very nice. Okay, so opportunities, this is the exciting one.
Non-dues revenue.
Non-use revenue. Through concessions?
No, through any, just exactly what Adam was saying. We should just evaluate all of the opportunities for non-dues revenues.
Open and somewhat available to the public. That, you know, that's not huge revenue walking in for.
Okay, other opportunities. For social engagement, developing a recreation program offers incredible opportunities for connecting people from different gates to their children. Other opportunities?
Or dogs. Or adult children.
What else can we do there?
Last year we saw the Valley Day is very good.
Valley Fair.
Valley Fair, yeah, but, you know, large, the opportunity to have large community events.
Right. Space lends itself to very large events, like we were talking about, for all the ways to communicate and engage with the community. Town halls, you need a big space, right? You know, that's actually really hard to find for many organizations.
Well, there was like, what, about 1,500 people at that? That was a huge opportunity. If we promote that every year, that's a potential opportunity to introduce Sudden Valley. It changes the impression of Sudden Valley to the outside community, and plus it makes our members feel more a part of the community.
Yes, the Valley Fair is an event, nexus, sort of, for both communicating to our community, but also communicating to the larger community with the school.
Collaborations with clubs, organizations, groups, sporting teams, food trucks. I mean, there's so many opportunities to, you know, to build on the previous thing by letting everybody in Bellingham and Whatcom County know it's really cool.
We could probably get a waffle truck out here. Yeah.
As long as it's not
Or,
pancake batter.
or a pancake truck, right?
Just make sure there's shoes for Dan.
That restaurant that offers chicken.
Phantom?
Yeah. There's a few.
It's not, no, that's an opportunity for rental.
Yeah.
Because you could put weddings in here. And then if you do the ice, right, even as a pavilion, you can serve alcohol there because nobody wants a wedding without alcohol.
Just make sure goose poop's gone. Nobody's gonna want a wedding in that lawn.
No, not.
I was-
Here, you just, you can walk over to the ice barn and.
My apologies.
Whatever.
I think,
What else?
oh, I was just gonna say there's, oh crap, I just lost my train of thought now.
Goose poop does that.
It'll come back to me maybe.
Yeah, parks and tracks, fact that it is open to the public and it's, what are some of the other threats?
Goose poop. I'm kidding, I'm sorry.
The threat is the long-term deferment of maintenance is, you know, and the long-term sustainability of the area.
Cost to fix,
Cost to operate,
maintain.
yeah, money.
Different opinions of how to utilize it and what to do with it.
We call that a lack of consensus.
I like that.
Potential for conflict and escalated in fighting.
High cost of doing.
Yeah, it's a cost effective, cost.
But I feel like,
Well, yeah, and it sounds like the more that we want to improve, the greater risk we have of having to bring everything up to code, which is
That's exactly.
really.
Yeah. I think access in a sense is also a threat because once again, it brings that whole, where do they all park? Do they know the rules? Do they
Yeah, like
follow the rules?
the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number one. Not number one, but the first.
Okay, any other threats? I think that while it's cool that this area does a lot of things, sorry, that's the corner market. It's also, there's heavy usage here. So let's say we decided we're gonna renovate this. Not saying we could, but if we wanted to, well, where does the board meet while it's being renovated? Seriously, we're required to meet in person. Where do we do that? I mean, I'm sure we can jury-rig something, but it's not that easy. We have exercise classes, we have an expectation of having a fitness center. If we want to renovate that fitness center, where do we put it? There's so many things happening, and so scouts, the ping pong club, the mahjong club, this club, or that club, the Valley Arts Group, everybody meets here and uses, it's like a beehive. So when you think about modifying a beehive, don't, you swarm them into a moving hive, right? So I think the biggest threat is, a potential threat is that it's currently high use.
Environmental impact?
The watershed also.
Yeah, everything in the watershed, noted in Venus, it's working.
The watershed rules change. So another threat is potential new regulations.
So we want to get our pavilion up really quick before they change the rules and prevent us from.
Well,
Really?
so you know, as a board director, and I've lived here a decade, the biggest threat to actually implement, it is a threat to implement any of these, because the way this organization is structured with the board turnover, we don't have, our planning processes aren't documented well. We just started this just a few years ago. We need to document them better. We need to build on the efforts of the previous boards so that these, when these decisions are made, they continue. They don't just stop when a new board or new GM comes in, that we continue to build on the work of the previous groups, because otherwise, this is one of these issues, and you people have been here a long time know this, these barns have been a topic of conversation and have existed on our budgets and capital planning since before I ever moved here a decade ago. And they still have not been dealt with. So, and that's the biggest issue for me of seeing anything getting done.
In addition to watershed rules, there are Washington state changes. So state regulations for HOAs.
Well, I think, it seems to me that, you know, if we do need to have a clear path of continuity from, past decisions, but I think one of the main reasons may have been a lack of funding to carry out decisions due to a lack of funds. So I think we need to be mindful of the fact that if we want changes to occur, we have to make sure we have the means to carry them out in a financially time appropriate manner.
I got it.
I gotta go hang out. Good job, Danny.
Actually, should have put there for threats, planned obsolescence. Because that's why it's in the state it's in. Yes, don't fund it, let it deteriorate, and you'll have to tear it back. Planned obsolescence.
Okay, but where is our marina group?
There.
Okay, here's Frank's from Marina. While we're doing the district stuff, can you, Marina folks, read your list of, nouns and verbs?
Okay, so the marina area we had encompassing the entire kind of area once you enter the dry slip parking area essentially. So one of the main features is the lake itself, the shoreline, the beaches, the spit. This provides public access to the water, fishing. People can launch small crafts like kayaks and canoes from any of the shorelines and beaches. It provides swimming as well as public meeting space. And then you have the boat slips and the launch docks. The boat slips provide boat storage. The wet slips provide private water access. And they also, and both dry and wet slips provide non-dues revenue. The launch docks with the ramp itself provide public boating access to the water, and non-dues revenue. Then you have the pavilion, which provides public meeting space and some non-dues revenue. There's a playground providing children's recreation, a sports court providing general recreation. And we're not just having dogs everywhere. Then there's the marina building, which provides restrooms, staff workspace, storage, and there's security as well in the building. And the kayak canoe racks provide recreation, boat storage for those, and additional non-dues revenue.
What are some of the strengths of our marina?
Water access.
Water access.
Non-dues revenue.
Are we doing opportunities or strengths? Strengths over there with Mark.
General recreation.
Well, the natural beauty of the lake.
It makes a good picture. Yeah, it's generally any red fin ad you see, great aerial view.
Something for everyone, right? People with dogs, people with kids, people who want to walk, people who want to exercise.
It's uniqueness too. There's no marina on Lake Whatcom. Functional and as large. And no one's ever gonna get one. That's the other thing. Current regulations.
That's actually a really important point that he's making, because those regulations will, no, this will never happen again. You know,
Permitting world, you could not go out and fill a lake with spit. Put a boat dock out.
What other strengths?
Boating. Water sports.
We have electric and water down there. It's bounded, though, and this is kind of a weakness. That area, while it has a big space already, there is no way to expand. Bounded by the lake, the golf course, and private property.
So we have electricity, is that?
We do have electricity.
At the pavilion? Or at the
At
restaurant building?
office.
It's another great.
parking.
Yeah, we switched, Joanne switched to this time.
Maintenance.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, but it's getting old.
Just the time involved in, the lake gravel down and it's all over the road. Just daily maintenance.
Mhm.
Traffic, direction, which way to go.
Signage.
Being on the lake. Because of
What was that?
such a
Watershed.
being in the being next to the lake.
So watershed regulations.
Yeah, it's like if you no real expanding it, and there's also not really expanding the use of it. Like we wanted to, let's say tennis took off and 6 more courts down there and pickleball and all that. There's no way it would be permitted because it's there.
It's not a lot of shade structures.
Yeah, the lack of shade and the dog park is because people don't see what their dogs are doing and
Don't
The
think
dog
that-
park generates pollution And for people who don't like dogs, it's a real turn off. That's a dog.
Yeah.
It's hard to take this point.
No boundary, no set boundary on the dog park.
What else? I'm not sure if this is a threat or a weakness, but just having basically, you know, something in the watershed has the amount of activity. Have there potentially. So it's the one place that, one of the many places we can probably get ourselves in trouble accounting here. As far as water quality. And shoreline proper.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
I use area that, you know, creates degradation. I don't know if that's a weakness or a threat. Or both.
What other weaknesses, threats, or opportunities, I guess, access is a problem because it's a long drive. It's through a neighborhood. And, if you funnel into that space, you have to funnel out one way and one out.
And noise as well then?
I think that
Noise
noise,
for the residents that live in this spot.
You're used to it.
a threat is the public. Public.
Is that a?
I mean, I can guarantee you when someone's in the bathrooms is thrashed, it's probably not our residents.
You give people too much credit.
Just because when we do, census, we try and say, who's using this asset at this point in time? It's residents. Now, I know the marina gets more public access.
During
in
holiday.
general. You know, we had a big vandalism last year, and it was actually.
Shoot 'em.
So,
Oh, no, she
Whoa.
said Valley.
Just-
I'm joking, I'm joking.
What are opportunities for the marina? One of you guys grab a.
Non-dues revenue.
Non-dues revenue.
I'll write if nobody wants to. You don't want to write?
Daniel's got nice writing.
Come on, Dan.
Also provides opportunities for a large community gathering.
Opportunity to expand water access. Well, I'm not necessarily to expand that, but just having be a part of, like, I know at one point they, I think you could rent paddleboards now. I think Western was letting them.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
look,
so, you know, I don't have a paddleboard or a kayak, but I would love to. Or whatever, so.
Sports rentals?
yeah.
Expand, yeah. not-
Concessions. Oh,
Yeah, that's what I,
Sessions.
that
if
too,
it's-
yeah.
if it's, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, or, I mean, potentially, you could actually sell liquor and, you know, ice cream, popsicle.
I mean, even if Sudden Valley bought a soda
What's that?
machine,
Has laws.
just
Yeah, no.
start to see how it
Throwing
does.
that out there that,
does
you know,
work.
you're talking about a recreational area that people are hanging around outside, that they may want to have a
I'm
cocktail. or
afraid to rent liquor because there's so many rules and regulations with that.
Concessions.
Okay.
That's a start.
Open containers are a big thing.
Yeah, no, but,
There's the opportunity to teach people about safe watercraft use. Sort of, you know, yeah, you can rent stuff, but what if we have a kids sailing class? The kids classes in summer, or junior golf camp in general, sells out on the first day. Because parents are always looking for things for their kids to do during the summer. And something with around, in and around the water would be a really helpful thing. One of the reasons I'm a big proponent of the swim lessons is because the more training kids have, the less likely they are to drown.
And for those of you that aren't voters, Washington State does have a required voter's license to operate a boat.
And the county uses it for that aquatic invasive
Yeah.
species.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, it's,
And
have an inspection station.
It had like
That's actually a strength.
floatplanes and other opportunities is like for a back, the rec corridor is for emergency staging. Floatplanes haven't been here in a while. But
Where would you wait for her to walk off?
But,
Here
you
on
know,
on the.
if we were cut off, that would be a way to get supplies in.
I think what you were saying too, or someone was saying about the aquatic invasive species. I think there's an opportunity, with the marina for us to be better stewards of our share of the watershed.
Yeah, leadership in stewardship.
And education, education. I think that map that's on the side of the
Education.
building
That's-
down there that shows the Wacom and a tree, and I mean, one of the coolest, pretty cool features. You know, you look at that and you start to understand how big, how deep it is, how it's 3 basins. But, I don't know, I'm a fan of education.
Yeah, and it has a tie into our natural environment, which unites everyone. I mean, everybody will get excited. The more you know about features, the more excited you get. And especially facility. Any threats?
I have another opportunity. I have another opportunity. What about things like, outdoor movies or like outdoor concerts? You said we have electricity, right?
Yeah, but it's
Those are another
here.
And I will say this, our biggest threat to the marina is access. Funnel in, funnel out, and there's a limited amount of space allowed for parking.
You have that twice now, so you really made that.
Well, public access and then,
Our access, resident
sort of
access.
logistics. This is about people from outside, and this is just.
And I think
So-
what we have down at the marina is, try to say this right, because of its expansiveness and where it's located, there's, I know our boats down there aren't expensive boats, but when you throw them all together, the dry slip, all the boats in the dry slip, that's a large amount of money. And we have had, it's a place like where teens hang out, and really, if you don't live along the water and see things happening, it's an opportunity for, bad vandalism and crime, yeah.
Yeah, so security, right? Safety, security.
Yeah, like during the summer, that's probably why they, I'm sure they're not down there, you know, because of, they're down there because of misbehaving people. I mean, basically.
Well, you can control all the areas.
So one of the threats too, Joanne,
Not
before
the
you walk
boaters that are
off with that.
Security to go down there.
Well, so one of the biggest ones that we need to consider is the appropriately planning for the replacement of those assets. And then we're not just talking about the docks. We've finally got a little bit of a handle on the docks, but there's pavilions, you know, there's all kinds of stuff down there, and we have, and it's all pretty expensive, part of it being those stormwater outfalls. There, you know, those need to be evaluated. We probably need to try to work with the county on that to pull in funding, but I mean, it's a pretty expensive undertaking, anything that we do out there. Okay,
Another threat is the boats. All of the boats are an ecological threat to our drinking water.
which would go under regulate.
No, I'm talking they're filled with oil and gas and they're all a threat. They're privately owned. We have no jurisdiction over the boats themselves. Other than that, they need their tags and things like that. But they're just, you know, it's no different than a car is an ecological threat to our drinking water as well. It's the same way.
One thing we do have to acknowledge is that Lake Wacom and adequate water, it's kind of weird installing it because Lake Wacom is our water. And then we play it. You go to Seattle, you can't touch the, where I grew up in Colorado, it was very, very regulated. You were fishing, we're flocking, bullhorn yelling at you. So, it's a new thing, but it's not a situation that we we're just part of us, we're all different. It's a unique situation. What we do, like welcome compared to.
Sure. The features we have in the clubhouse, is we have the restaurants, including currently El Agave in the 19th hole. We have a pro shop, restrooms, locker rooms, and office space. And the activities that can take place there, of course, is meals, banquets, and events, social classes. We do have retail with the pro shop, meeting areas and rooms. Virtual, opportunity that, not an activity we currently have, but we could develop something like virtual golf, office spaces. We could rent out as retail, storage, files, and professional services. Also, all possible activities.
Anything to add or explain? Else? No, that's great. So can we have writers at each of the four strength opportunities? Okay, so the clubhouse, strengths. Non-use revenue.
Location.
Okay.
How's it a strength that's near the entrance?
She said location.
Central.
Yeah.
It's already there.
Parking,
Parking, I think, is a weakness.
the parking lot.
In the garage, yeah, I guess it's down the golf. Lighting is a weakness. Great,
Well, let's say that there is adequate parking.
Yeah, there's parking. I park.
Convenient, but it's adequate parking, that's a strength.
So the building was assessed, the building, you know what I mean? So structurally, the building is fine. It underwent a refurbishment in 2014. And then we had it assessed when all that work was being done in the kitchen. So the building is structurally sound.
Maximum use now, but they really do offer outside dining, inside dining. It's nestled into the hillside in a unique way, so that it sort of embodies the idea of merging architecture with environment.
Isn't that an opportunity there? What do we,
Well, it's both a strength and an opportunity.
Appreciate it. It's like, it's a very unique and, yeah, pretty striking building that.
And it is a unique building, and it's one of the buildings
Iconic.
that's in the best shape that we have, and it's this uniqueness that it sort of models the ideal of what architecture in Sun Valley could be.
For an opportunity, though, the interior of the building is not really well,
No,
at
it's
least
not.
in my opinion.
It was
So
built to do
it's-
one thing, and then it was parceled out into doing other.
No, I don't
things,
know.
and it's kind of a mishmash, but, maybe that's a weakness. The current interior of the building isn't maximum.
Right, I think you could probably get an architect to repetition rooms and such and find a much more useful.
there's no current plan of use for the building?
no, you do your space.
Plan.
They could offer some additional, some of the other additional wonderful views of Sutton Valley. I enjoy sitting on the patio of El Agave and just looking out, not even the ball, but like, get out of the golf course. And see back.
So the golf carts aren't covered? It's a weakness. It makes them, it cuts down on the useful life of the carts.
I added social gatherings.
Yeah, it is a hub where people come together. Not well signed. So it is close to the road, but it's not immediately clear where, like, when you try and tell somebody how to
This is or there's a restaurant there when you get there.
They mentioned lighting, additional lighting. or
It's also not marked correctly in Google Maps, at least 3 years ago. It showed me the clubhouse being right over here by the corner of the parking lot. And so as somebody who didn't know, and I was trying to find the office, because at the time the office was in the clubhouse, I like drove down here and I'm like, where's the clubhouse? And then after like 20 minutes, somebody stopped me and they're like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, the clubhouse? They're like, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it's actually quite hard to get. The other thing is that one of the most beautiful, groups of older trees is at gate 2.
The drive?
The tree tunnel.
Yeah.
So, like as you
No
come
one's
in,
shutting them down anytime soon. Like, I mean, those trees are beloved by everyone, but it does limit it.
are you, you're talking about the entrance into gate 2 towards the clubhouse?
They're beautiful and unique trees. Not only because of their individual ages, but because it's one of the few places you can get the sense that you're in the forest. The rest of it is all shrubs out.
So that's a strength.
It is, but it also means you can't expand it in that direction. So it's landlocked. In terms of opportunities, I think it offers one of the best opportunities to generate additional non-duty revenue.
Have the potential to create something like a button pub or whatever that thing's called. I am not a drinker. I must sound like one, but you know what I'm talking about? Like an indoor golfing type space. Yeah, flat stick, like that place.
Yeah, I mean, there's just when you think of
That'd be so cool to put down there. Put golf.
So
there's also virtual golf.
Yeah,
it's technically,
they have
that's really the
virtual
golf clubhouse. That's like the hub for golf. And so ideally, you know, we could promote, we have the ability, we have enough space here and with all our other buildings and everything that we actually use that as the golf clubhouse and use it for that type of thing, right? To promote, because it tends to be, you know, people, disc golfers. I know you guys play at the, you go to that club, right? Yeah. Well, no, no, I'm talking about when y'all go, you go to the indoor, club and just,
Oh, yeah, putting, yeah, in the wintertime, we do putting where we go to Folsom Creek, at baskets. Basically, challenge, yeah, yeah. They invite us back because we guarantee a couple of pints apiece. But, yeah, we
So
just
they-
get together and throw.
we do that on a regular basis. And then we got our golfers in the winter who can't necessarily always access the course, who would maybe potentially want to come.
Yeah, it'd be a great place. I know we were talking in our discussion earlier, that it would be great to have, I don't know, many of you golf, but you know, you have a golf lesson kind of thing, or fitting of golf clubs where you have a little map, you've got a picture on the wall that you hit into, and you could utilize 2 or 3 bays ultimately down there, and it doesn't have to be very tall.
I think they had something set up like that at Bali when they're still, yeah, Bali was that pickleball place. They play pickleball, and I think they have virtual golf set as well. I think they're becoming indoor game clubs. So,
Well, I think to expand on what Sonia said, you already generate a huge amount of public access for the golf course. So not only is it non-dues revenue, it's non-member.
Yeah, yeah.
Money from outside.
Yeah.
Coming in to pay for stuff that benefits us first and foremost. So we have that traffic already. It's classic marketing move to upsell that traffic. We currently undersell them because the restaurant, no proceeds from the restaurant come to us. The restaurant underserves the clientele by not opening for time, not offering ideal range of food and other items for them.
Yeah.
And that building could be easily reconfigured to house other golf adjacent things.
Absolutely.
And that takes advantage of the golf people that already go to go there. So as low hanging fruit goes, yeah, concessions at the marina, very low hanging fruit because boy is it packed in the summer
Yeah.
and there's nowhere else to go. They are a captive audience. Okay, it's like selling water at a concert, right? You can charge $6.
$10 now. Just so you know, $10 at the gorge, yes.
You can see how far along I am. But anyways, but that is the biggest opportunity. Because we have the largest number of people going through a single area, they all hit the pro shop. And to get to the pro shop, they all park down, walk up the hill, walk alongside that clubhouse. They can be pulled in to sit and have a coffee by the nuns fireplace. You know, they can be enticed to have drinks after they're around, they can come in the off season.
Then the biggest threat is what does El Agave's lease look like? Because they have it all locked up. They're not using it to generate revenue for us, but they're preventing us from.
They're on a month to month. They're on a month to month. Their lease is up.
Yeah. Well.
It's an
I
opportunity.
would just like to say we have to be careful what we say in this matter at this point in time. So we probably shouldn't delve into that too much.
Yeah, but I think the sentiment, everyone would acknowledge, we rent the space, and it's up to them to profit from that location. None of it comes back, we get the rents, obviously, and that is certainly income for us, but we are not running that business. It's an external business, that's just a recognition of that.
Yeah.
I think one of
Okay with that?
the threats would be the loss of Elegant. That's always, I think that's been brought up. The restaurant itself decided they were done, and it happened to Bob's father, full history.
Right.
Lost restaurants in the past.
That's more complicated.
Okay, that's why I would leave it as
That's
it's
really-
common. But there is that, that is, I can see the business owner, all of a sudden, they're just realizing they're not making money in location, then why would they continue it? Restaurants don't really always have a good track record of being successful. So we should be, I guess we're fortunate we have a restaurant that also isn't just a single restaurant, like 3 or 4, some experience there running a restaurant. Yeah, I think that's.
Well said.
I think I have a weakness. I can't read what it says there. AJ, no, nothing against you. I can't see that far. Do we have like proper signage for?
Yeah, I got 4 route findings.
Thank you.
Anything else?
So an opportunity, and I mean, well, I don't know, this goes to, you put non-dues revenue on there, right? All right, never mind, I won't go into it.
Yeah, so it's one of the best, one of the buildings that is in the best repair. It has high traffic. There are opportunities to, it's not densely populated, say that. So we wouldn't be having to throw somebody out. There's open space within that building. But, there's a dynamic. It's not easy to find. The parking is a little bit inconvenient because you have to walk up and down that hill. The lighting is bad in the winter, in the dark. So, sort of round it up.
For opportunities, do we have like file storage? Like if it's not gonna be utilized for other stuff, we are looking for a place to store all our files, right?
Yeah, that's one of the locations. That's been it down here.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking about if we were going to the tour too, is in that area, it's like, oh, this is, potentially rental office space or that, but then also knowing that you have to access stuff will look like there's all the Wi-Fi and, probably some interesting stuff down there you want a rental person to have maybe attached for security reasons. So the record storage solution compromise because it is securable, safe, modern.
Right now, that
Files and then we have to.
Yeah.
They have no customer.
Working really well there and probably a lot. Better than
There. Yeah.
Well, I was saying, it's funny, there's more into that space that you get from the outside. But I never really knew this, and I think.
But nobody would know they're there, so they might be very similar.
Okay, so we now have 23 minutes. And what I like everyone to do is look at their dots. You have been assigned another set of 3 dots. And if you could put A and B and C on those dots, green is A, orange is B, pink is C. And then put those on the strategic priorities. This time, before you were saying, what's the most important for Sudden Valley? Now I'd like you to go up and vote and say, what do you have the strongest alignment to, or what initiative or activity that we've described up there is something that you personally would like to work on? 1, 2, and 3, and feel a commitment to. Okay. And while you guys are thinking about that, we've reached our final exercise, which is to reflect on the SWOT analyses that we did and these 3 major assets to come up with a statement for each that says what we envision. What is our vision for that asset, that major asset? Okay, so a visioning statement. We've thought about them granularly, what's there. We've thought about what happens in those locations currently. And we've evaluated them almost as a business. We've done a SWOT. So what is our vision statement for each of those assets? And we'll start with recreational corridor.
Doing this in our team here.
No, I thought how do you want to do it? We only have 20 minutes.
Yeah, as a whole group, otherwise we're.
Yeah.
So the recreational corridor, the rec corridor here on, to me represents the hub of the community. Yes, it shifts to the marina, but the marina is mostly about having fun, and recreation.
It is outdoor.
And it's about the outdoor. Here we're indoor, outdoor. We also do serious things. I mean, yeah.
Engagement is, you know, other than administrative work, yeah, I think you're right. You could just say,
It's age, all ages too, versus like, you know, the other 2 places are a bit more tailored towards adults, I would say.
yeah, I'm kind of going with Lori on, it's basically the heart of,
Sudden Valley.
yeah.
Closing words. Okay, so you guys can react to this and then we can get to the point. I'm trying to write it. So a vibrant, active hub for the SBCA community. Providing a home for governance,
That's good.
direction correct? Vibrant and active, equities and engaged, correct?
For our diverse community, like if you make sure for Sudden Valley's diverse community, that encompasses what AJ's saying about all ages. And that addresses the inclusivity part of it.
Like home. But could be substituted. And governance, engagement, and leisure.
Maybe recreation.
Yeah, I think recreation.
But I think leisure is good in there too.
I mean, recreation is in the title of
The rec
Corridor.
corridor.
I like leisure because somebody just said recreation.
It's in the title.
Yeah.
Well, so leisure is a recreation.
Recreation is what you get, for
On.
Knitting's recreation if you like to knit.
Well, leisure could too. I mean, it's like downstairs, there's like sitting areas or where you could just, you don't have to be. Recreation is usually thought of as more, like puzzles aren't usually.
Sitting and reading could be a.
Yeah.
governance. Is
Moist leisure.
No, that's what you do here.
We don't like leisure.
We could state this for civic and social engagement.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it really vibrant? What does vibrant mean exactly?
So she's
We
creating.
have a decrepit barn that's fenced off and
It's sort of vision.
this old thing that needs a facelift on the outside
It's a
too. So I
vision.
wouldn't really call it vibrant.
This is a vision. It's a vision statement, so it's aspirational,
Okay, never mind.
a vibrant, active.
I don't know if we want it vibrant though. Don't we want it like aesthetically fitting in with the surroundings as opposed to like popping out and
To me, vibrant is about the community being vibrant, not about the building. It's about making it a vibrant thing. Like a happy place. A happy place, yeah.
I like vibrant.
John, you mentioned home as possibly emotionally charged, where it became something that I don't know, maybe a longer word. A sustainable location.
I don't know. I think this is our vision statement. I think we need an emotional word in there.
That's why I like home.
What if you
It is
just,
what we
It
call
needs to
home.
be.
what if you say a sustainable home? And then that addresses both of Adam's concern about sustainability and that heart word that you're trying to get to. Like, sustainable home.
We also put a broad range of civic. Very diverse.
Yeah, it's very versatile.
But there's also, I mean, there's Girl Scouts and there's Gordon.
It's the most versatile space.
If you said a wide range or something of civic and social engagements, you could put a period after.
Right, and then this stuff, but what do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that was awesome. This gives one planning committee a really good place to start, and they can wordsmith or home or whatever. It's a great gift to that committee for all of us to have consensus around this state. Because this helps make decisions. You think about it. That's correct. Next up is, Maria.
Location where our community can celebrate our connection with water. We'll start with that.
Wow.
And we can expand. Again, it's a very unique opportunity.
I feel like we should write, maybe not unique, but I mean, kind of one of a kind, because how many other places on Lake Whatcom have what we have?
Which would be unique.
Right. Unique, special.
Special. Special, that's,
feel like-
special is another one of those emotionally charged words. that would, that
I was
makes you
gonna put it
connect. to
before location,
Yeah, I-
special location where our community celebrates our uniqueness.
Yes, special.
Maybe do connection and location. That's kind of weird. Connection covers.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Sorry.
What you got.
What you just
Yeah,
did.
what you got.
That's what you-
Or you,
The unique location, our community celebrates our special connection to the water.
Yep. that's
I would say water and nature.
Or just to nature, because it's water, nature.
Yeah, but I mean,
Water and
really
nature.
specific, though, the water is number one.
Or just Lake Whatcom.
Old Lake, yeah, that's.
Just say
Land and
Lake
sea.
Whatcom, which is the shore, which is the,
Yeah, just say the lake. I agree with that. That'll cover all of that. And then that covers nature too.
Do we want to put diverse again in front of community?
Yeah.
I think that probably is helpful just because it makes people remember they've got to consider families and.
Yes.
Joanne, how
Everybody.
about entire community, since we already used diverse?
Yeah, but do we want every vision statement? to
Say
sound
diverse.
yeah, you don't want to use it in every,
So if I read this, I would think, hey, they teach people to be water safe. Hey, they have lessons about the environment. Hey, I can go voting there. Like, when you read this statement, you kind of divorce yourself from what you already know. What does this make you think? That's a good way to test it.
Can you read it again?
Marina, a unique location where our diverse community celebrates our special connection to Lake Wawa.
I like that.
So we also talked about the other stuff too, which isn't specifically mentioned, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not specific, but it is, sounds nice.
The dogs go swimming.
One of the things that makes that particular dog park so highly
You said the
used throughout all of
The
them.
dog park.
It is, I have plenty of friends, long before we lived out here. Is its location. Because there's a small sliver of Lake Patton that you can do, there's kind of a swim area at Odell that you can't drink some of the time, but, if you have it.
Yeah. So I just wondered if we want to celebrate respectfully.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it is an inherent water body and it is a fragile resource. Somehow to draw that in. If we're not just milking it for all it's worth, we're going to approach it, we understand the value, we approach it.
I like that.
Not be seen on Miami Boat.
Okay.
What?
Which I think is going to be one of our more challenging visual.
Rams, they can just, someone can make a career out of filming videos.
I feel like our clubhouse, which vision statement should celebrate our original history of it being a golfing resort idea, but that it's grown since. So that we pay respect to the history and the golfing, how important that is, but it's not just everything.
Or just, you could say, like it's a hub for our, for the golf community. I don't know, that's not the right word, but,
A gathering space.
but then you got, it's bigger than that because you got the restaurants and all of that, but
Not a bad starting place to say hub for the golfing community, where, and then add to that, like the other things you can do.
say it again.
Well, I liked what you said, where you started, a hub for the golfing community, but then build on that and add the other things with it. But
And our
because we do have, it is a profit, it is a draw.
Yeah, so
Providing nourishment.
Thinking. Oh, it was a former administration.
yeah, you could just add, well, yeah, so basically.
It's not now. Gonna be
hub for the golfing community and,
Where members come to,
socialize. and-
Bridging. Bridging is a good word to use.
Yeah.
Golfing community and,
With social. Golf with, I
socialization.
think. Bridging is really good. That's another. You gotta have a word in there that, you know.
Invites
I
non-members
agree.
into our community.
Unless you liked it.
Well, I don't know. I think
This is, you know, my relentlessly roots encourage me to write something here that says, the asset that we should milk the heck out.
Yeah, okay.
But I love the idea of linking this somehow to our heritage, because golf, it's a really distinctive course if you read about the design of it and everything. So there's this idea that it's historic, but it's also where most non-Sudden Valley people see Sudden Valley. They connect, they think of the course first.
Like an opportunity to maybe, like, I don't know, seeing the old Zamboni. in high school. But it's like, we've been around long enough, it's big enough. Almost like in this town I grew up in, we had pioneers. Stuff like the old Zamboni would be in there, but I don't know if there are any, you know, old artifacts from golf clubs or something. That, I mean, just, you know, an opportunity
Yeah.
to
that wagon.
celebrate the history of the community.
Instead of a hub, maybe it's like a melting pot for golfing community, Sun Valley community, and surrounding communities all come together.
I think
I started to write something. Bridging our golfing roots with our growing recreational amenities for our community and external. kind of.
Yeah, a place for the Sun Valley to share its beauty with the golfing and golfing and surrounding communities.
I mean, I started it, but I think you need to end it.
We like hubs still?
I didn't hear what you said when you said that. What did,
I basically started in the middle saying bridging our golfing roots with our growing recreational amenities.
we don't want to grow our recreational. Are we going to grow these things to something additional? Like
Or
growing?
our growing
How about just,
community offerings? Because it's a clubhouse and we're trying to get non-residents to use it, right?
Just any.
Not growing.
golf course?
Growing triggers growth management.
Or you could still use that like a hub for our golf community, linking our golf community with our greater community.
That's good.
It's like an opportunity.
That's good.
Like I said, I love sitting out on the deck, looking at the golf course, because
Linking the golf community and their general.
I really wanted to stress the bridging our golfing roots because we keep saying community like over and over again.
So a hub to bridge our golf community with our greater community or something like that.
It's an emotional but good word that's tied in our history.
Bridges.
But are we, I mean, the golf course is the only thing that's lasted from the beginning, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily like the main feature.
Yeah, because
We had an airport. That's a bigger deal than a golf course.
So when we did this,
You know, like,
This whole area started as an offering for Canadian people with the resort idea of golfing and a lake. Is that incorrect?
So-
yeah, there's lots of.
Okay.
so
It
the one
was-
thing you have
it
to
was
keep
done by
in mind too,
Canadians, and it
like
was,
in the last, the
advertised,
community
yeah.
survey, one of the things that, when we did the gap, identification, right, that, golf was one of the least used by our members of any of our facilities and assets. But one of the main things that was mentioned was behind trails was the lake. So that's one of our higher use things. So I think we gotta be careful about putting something center stage at the majority of the community. You may end up getting like, I mean, again, that becomes an inclusive thing. We don't want to like make people start to what we really want to do is have people to start and to engage with it in a more positive way. So I think that language of that is going to contribute to it about, where golf's relationship is to the rest of the community. But we want it to be viewed in a positive way.
Here's a new try. A hub that brings together the golfing and non-golfing activities and invites non-members to engage with the Sun Valley.
Yeah, I like it. I would work on that middle piece.
Yeah, a little bit of the idea too, just maybe exposing non-golfing members to the world of golf.
I think that could be developed on for sure. The other thing that we haven't invoked in the statement, that it brings in a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to see something in terms of, in terms of the concept of growing. I think there's opportunity for growing non-dues revenue there, whether it's selling golf club, having a golf fitting center there, having virtual golf or what have you. I think, and I I like the idea of non-members, but if we use this externally, I don't know. They'll I'm sure milk out the language.
Both timing and Brady had previous engagements, so they have really made their days hectic.
Thanks for coming.
This statement needs the most help. I think we've at least started. But when Sonia and PJ they let me know that as a result of this day, they wanted to have inspiration and understanding of where people's priorities were and what our vision was. And I think that presenting a vision helps people to rally together. And then we can get into the nuts and bolts and nitty-gritty. We can disagree on some of the finer points, but we always have that yardstick, vision. Does this fit with the vision? When we read the vision, does this seem right? So hopefully, long-range planning committee will get out of our thing, and I would invite everyone to vote what they want to be involved in, where they can most engage.
So are we supposed to put our name on here too, or what are you doing?
No, just, it's a
Oh,
different
no.
way of saying, of saying what's important. Right.
Are we putting it next to a
Over there.
specific?
Over there.
Oh, okay.
That way I have rounded out, started there.
So this is involvement and that was priorities that one,
What's
two,
most
three.
important for Sun Valley is what we voted.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing?
And which one are you willing to work on and advocate?
Yeah, because that clearly has.
Lori left me her stickers.
And I think that's an important factor too, because a lot of people run their mouths and say we need to do things, but then they don't actually step up and do anything to help.
That's right.
The
That,
other ones.
and
Oh.
essentially, that's what we're asking. AJ makes a very, very valuable point, so please, everybody, consider it. We've said what's important for Sudden Valley, but if nobody cares about that, wants to sign up to do it, it's not getting done.
So I would prefer that we don't vote Timmy and Laurie's stickers, so we have an accurate reading of the people that were present.
Okay. Works for me.
Yeah, because I don't want to weight it.
Right, but you guys, and thank you.
I will just take them off of everybody.
And then just
It's real fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Kai.
Just real quick for long range planning. So I will reach out to the other board members and anyone who was not here, ask them to watch the video that we have today and get them to provide any goals or any feedback they may have, and then I can work. And then I'll get that incorporated and we'll bring all this back to long range planning. We can kind of sift through some of the stuff. We can work on some wordsmithing and things like that. We'll work on putting together, well, we have a basic format for an annual survey. that'll allow us to year after year develop use patterns and stuff like that. But then we'll have to develop some like capital project type questions to help us plan, how we're going to execute, projects over the next 1, 2, or 3 years kind of thing. So, yeah, stay tuned. We'll get something probably next month scheduled for long range planning and start working on that stuff. And we can start to get some of it sent out via email so people can review it and stuff. But
And thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Kyle, for today. Both did a wonderful job. We appreciate it.
But yeah, I think it's important to talk about this stuff, put it out to the community. They need to be able to see that we're actually thinking about stuff, and see it out in public and not behind the scenes and everything like that. So I think this is an important yearly thing, and yeah.
So long range planning, what AJ's, so once we compile all of it and collate it a little bit better, we'll also bring it back to the board, in a more cohesive way. But I personally, I'm hoping that the board directors will also participate in long range planning. If they want to attend the meetings, I would encourage that and participate, in the meetings fully. It's helpful. And that's my 2 bits on that.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for all your time. It's a long day, but productive.
Did these up before they get taken down.